already.
A lot of teams that have big moves to make in these final 3 days, Trid, are facing off against this early conflict. Tempo Storm, we talked about them. Sure, they are certainly in those top 16 positions, but they're not safe. There are teams riding on their coattails and teams that are certainly going to want to try to take them down in this final week of semifinal gameplay. Spacestation Gaming, like you mentioned, Trid, in that far Hot Springs rotation, now departing in the caravan to try to find a place to call home, as Nova does exactly the same. A nice kill, at least for the boys of Nova, to continue on here. That's, it feels good. They didn't fully engage with Tempo. Tempo was in rotation. It's a free kill point.
Free kill point. Now they are potentially going to play Gatekeeper for Unnamed or Lights Out, depending on what their rotation path takes them through. They are coming in from the east. Spec, what are you doing, son? Come on. You know better than this. Nope, he has to get out. The vehicle's then going to topple over, jump back in, put on a bit of a show. Star points, we'll call it for now. We'll just give you the benefit of the doubt with this one, bud.
There it is. He says, landed it, nailed it all the time, was not concerned at all. So Tempo Storm will be taking up shelter here in this compound. And all things considered, not a bad place for them to be. It's going to be at least a fairly centralized compound, and they just have one other squad down to their southwest, Cream Esports, to potentially worry about, but also having to at least adjust their strategy slightly after having lost Chica. Nico, Lost, and Spec have had huge performances throughout this month of PUBG Mobile Club Open Play, but it all comes down to what you can do here in these final few days.
Spec also had that Scorpion we alluded to being introduced for this season's gameplay, so we might get to see it in use very soon, depending on how the action dictates it. Back on with Spacestation Gaming, they're go ahead and making that rotation all the way to the south. Unnamed are taking pop shots and already fighting their way to get in against vehicles up into the northeast near Coal Mine area, changing up the rotation path. Lights Out clashing with Unnamed, trying to find the more direct and a more approachable route. But Unnamed are now going to run out of the frying pan and into the fire as they're just going straight into the sightlines of Nova. I wonder if they're aware enough here and have the heads-up play to be able to start getting some frags off of this very close proximity rotation.
Space Station Gaming still on that far rotation as well, but Unnamed, yes, up here to the north, continues on, able to avoid Nova almost altogether, but they still have a few members back behind to the east that are getting a little bit close, and they too will avoid danger for the time being, but that's only going to be possible for a few more minutes before we get into the beef of the game, the mid-game, where Vikendi really seems to pop off. But shots popping off, speaking of that, over here, Silent Killer spotting out one of the members of Team Anarchy, James, alone and afraid, trying to avoid two different squads. That's G6, Granja Del Gaming up here towards the northeast as well. Alushi in the squad. They've had good performances, Trid. I mean, there's certainly a force to be reckoned with, just haven't necessarily gotten the placement points that are necessary in this tournament.
We've got a couple of high finishes, but they're not consistently up there. That's the problem with this team in particular, as Team Anarchy going to take a little bit of damage as he drives around, getting ever closer to that G6 lineup. Just wants to wrap around to come back to his team that's already set up. Will jump across the ridge and should be fine on this one, but the vehicle's taking a bit of a beating. More gunfire coming in on Micro TT. He's in cover now with the help of 9. They're going to jump into the building, get healed up, and try and look outwards towards these multiple squads.
A risky building scout, given how much damage that vehicle had taken. We saw it smoking there as they pulled into the compound where James and Killer were. But now G6 is going to be certainly aware, and will the Silent Killers as well up here towards the northeast of this position are going to be aware that there are not one but two squads at least fighting for this area. A bit of a valley separates G6 and the members of Team Anarchy, but everyone has now made their way inside of Phase 1 except for one team, possibly even just one player. Version 2 White's Maluma continues to come up here from the south as Cream's Munoz looks on. M24 bolt-action sniper rifle will be prepped and ready to spot out one of the heads of AreYouScared.
Yeah, Maluma and the rest of Version 2 White aren't exactly being chased by the blue. They've got plenty of time to go ahead and get themselves into the play area.
But this is the question. Trid, do they go in, do they bomb center, or are they too late? Do they stay? Do they recognize this and play the edge? What do you think?
I think they're going to get closer to center, but they're never going to get to the epicenter of it all. They may want to cut their losses right here, jump into a position where they can wait until the next circle pops, because who knows, it could just move further south. It's unlikely, because it will just nudge, like we keep alluding to, and stay roughly central, but they may be fine here, depending on where it finally ends. So, and especially, if you're coming in late, you don't want to be crashing into compounds. If you just look how congested the map is towards that center, you'll see that it's not a good idea to try and crash anything in that area.
No, certainly not. Nova might be facing off against Lights Out here in just a few minutes' time. They certainly are on opposite ends of each other. Nova inside of the compound, Lights Out just riding along the hillside. Seems like Lights Out, the way at least they're positioning themselves, they are aware that a team is inside of this compound and occupying it. They're going to be pulling off entirely. Kato with the nice angles up here on the roof, maybe spotting out Lights Out as well. So both teams just being diligent not to over-aggress into an early game fight and get caught out by a third party.
Oh, it's the last thing you want to have happen on you, just being absolutely decimated by someone you wasn't even aware of the presence of. It just feels like the absolute worst feeling I can imagine. Circle coming in, so we will have that next phase for you very shortly, and we expect it to remain quite passive for now. We still got Beowulf and Memo at the front of these charges, just standing off against each other, keeping each other in check, let them know that something's not right here. And there's that first nudge we alluded to. Version 2 White will have to move, but beyond that, no one really has to make any harsh repositions as of yet.
So looking at this circle, we do see the water on the western side going to still be in play. About maybe 20% of this circle is going to be water, affecting the play area slightly, not so much as to force these engagements too much, but you will see teams starting to reposition and put their eyes, their priority on much different compounds than we would be looking at. Would phase number 2 be completely land-centered? Version 2 White still going to be comfortable down there in Movatra, advancing their position from that edge play just ever so slightly, as much as they need to sit comfortably inside of this phase before the next phase pops. Phase number 3, another nudge. Even if it's a hard shift, it's really not going to be sending you too far off of your previously intended route. But they are trying to be diligent. They're not trying to give up too much in the process.
It's going to get themselves into this next compound, and they may be fine here for the next phase as well. Phase number 3 may be kind of them, just keeping right on the border. Ace, they're obviously put down to 2 members quite early. They're holding around the border or the edge of the play zone in that northeast area, well away from any other squad. So it's really a placement move coming out from them. They don't want to risk any confrontation when they're weakened state for the rest of the matchup. You can see Dilly is obviously there by himself right now, just chilling out, maybe throwing some rocks against the wall, Steve McQueen style, just trying to get some kind of entertainment out of it.
Ace Esports was a team that we saw in those bottom 8 positions as well, possibly even in last place, I believe, 24th position coming into this game. So yes, they started off pretty strong. They lost 1 member in the process, only started with 3 to begin with, but 4 kills, that's 4 kill points going over to this squad. And yes, playing it safe is the name of the game, but you have to wonder if the circles continue to shift away from them, where are they going to be able to adjust off of this? And will they be able to hold their own? Will they be able to take necessary engagements with the 2 members that they have left? Well, Dilly says, I'm not even worried about engagements yet. Show us the circle, and then I will get up from my bathroom-prone position.
Yeah, it's very, very lazy PUBG. Just, where's the circle? All right, I'll move. Just not in a rush. Not in a rush to do anything proactively. It's just entirely reactive. And it's fine. If you want to be playing edge like this, you're playing for placement. He knows he can't win out any of these fights, really, unless he gets extremely lucky. So once he gets like a top 3 finish secured from playing placement, yeah, he might rear his head out and try and get some extra kill points. But until that happens, unless he needs to fight, Dilly will not be having any of it.
Over here, we see Tempo Storm has now repositioned into a different compound. All 3, at least 3 of the members alive. Chica, remember, going down early on here in this game. But Creep Esports, AreYouScared, and Team Anarchy start to at least close in with a bit of a buffer zone, a bit of a no man's land in between all 4 of these squads. No one pushing up just yet because they don't need to. But the blue zone pushes up regardless of your cares or wants. It's going to be closing in here on phase number 2 in about 30-45 seconds time. Method, though, they're going to be looking okay in a compound as well. I mean, Trid, everyone is going to be at least fairly safe until we start to see that phase 3, phase 4 shift and the pressure start to build behind a few of these squads.
Yeah, they're going to be absolutely fine just with the slight nudges, and then I believe it's phase 4 is the real kicker where it just forces everyone to reposition, or it just cuts the play zone in half. It really will force the hand of so many of these teams, and that's when the action will really start to kick off. Because right now, none of them are really pressed for each other. They all got their own territory. No one's going to encroach across the borders and start causing trouble where they don't need to because they all want to play for the placement. Next circle, just going to pop right now on your screen. I imagine it's going to fall more central. So Ace Dilly will be forced to move, but he's just about the only one in the play area that needs to make any rotation right now.
It's funny, a hard shift in phase number 3, and no one has to move. And this is exactly what you see here on Vikendi. So keep in mind, that's what you're going to be looking at, but it's only specific to this map. On no other map in PUBG do you see the circles, the phases react like this. But yes, now Polar Ace's Dilly, that bathroom is no longer going to be a safe haven for him. He's got to drop down, and lucky enough, the northern side of phase number 3 going to be wide open for him to just slip on through.
Yeah, he's got so much space around Critchus as well. He's just going to be able to go ahead and jump into that area with no problem whatsoever. There's the crate off on the coast. I don't think anyone spotted that out well enough to be able to go and get to it. Yeah, it's got a military level 3 vest, got a level 3 helmet and backpack in there. Why not? You got the AUG as well. I don't know if any teams have spotted that to go out, and you've got a military first for level 3 in that crate just for Percasas. I believe he's going to be the grateful or lucky recipient of that.
I love that the crate floats out in the ocean. Coming from PUBG on PC, you don't see him floating, but this time we saw it kind of rocking with the waves. It's just one of the subtle things that I love to pick up here as we enter into the mobile scene. But Dilly continues on the trek. The lone man, the lone ranger of this Polar A squad, just vying for placement, plus the 4 kills that they have already picked up. And he's going to get a nice little bit of loot infusion because, again, no teams have touched this Creatus area. Northern side will be wide open, but a few shifts are coming inside of the circle. A few teams starting to recognize that their positions in phase number 2 might not be much of a priority now with the readjustment. And well, Lights Out is trying to scout out a safe compound, and Lucifer is finding everything but that, as he is connected upon the M416 of Nova. Sam finds its connection and drops Lucifer out of the car, and since it was a scout, no member of Lights Out will likely be able to enter the fray and help their player.
You always want to try and get that information, but it does come at great risk. Lucifer is paying the price right now. Just going to be down, and more than likely will be converted to a flush, because as we mentioned, Lights Out, they're up by Dobro Mesto. They're nowhere near to be able to try and get into help, so he will ultimately falling down here. Killer's trying to disable the vehicle in the distance, remove some mobility options from the remaining squads in the area. Makes it a lot easier to slow down your opponents and get some prime real estate for yourself should the circle shift unfavorably.
I respect the scout play coming out from Lights Out on any other map except for Vikendi, because I think on Vikendi in particular, you should assume this. The scouting is already done for you just based off of the circles that you see in phases 1 through 3. You have to always assume that even if you find an empty compound in the center of the circle, there's going to be other compounds surrounding it that teams have already picked up. And Lucifer is likely going to find that fate 9 times out of 10 that should try to make that play. Lights Out now left to continue on. 3 members alive. Memo, C got an outsider 9K. And well, Lights Out had a pretty interesting time in scrims this week. They did pretty well. They had at least some pretty good success on Sanhok, but Vikendi is a whole nother beast, and they're going to be trying to figure that out as they progress here through the mid-game.
Lights Out do have a high ground perch, looking around from multiple directions. You've got G6 and Unnamed in the area with them. Not going to be able to find anything out for now. Silent Killers are taking a few shots at a team in the distance, but no real connections or no real threat coming in here. Final circle, or final phase of final seconds of this circle, sorry, coming in now, so we're expecting to have a change over, and we keep highlighting how phase 4 might be the time where things start to get a little bit spicy, because everything gets more and more congested right now. That circle's popped, but they're all going to be absolutely fine. So you know what that means, Esquire? It sets us up, because we know without a doubt phase 5 will force the hands, and that's when the action will really kick off.
Oh, it's not just going to force the hands. It's going to grab the hands of every player and throw them into the fire pit, because it's going to be a bit of a meat grinder for every team that has to make those small repositions in phase 5, 6, and 7, and 8. And well, a bit of deja vu. Dilly still on the northern side of things, working his way in as a solo player. He's got the complete northern side of phase number 4 trade wide open to himself.
He's still got so much space. He doesn't have to worry about anything. He might get spotted by Unnamed, potentially Lights Out, depending on where they're looking, but he can definitely sneak into this next circle, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, the best that you could hope for him. As a solo player, he is happy. He's smiling. He's at least, I mean, at least as much as you can when you lose your entire team in the early stages of the game. There you are, Dilly. Prepping behind the rock.
I think he's just breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah,
the circle did
so
hard
too.
shift down to the south, where he'd have to fight through armies of people playing Edge right now. So he's got some space. He's not going to be removed from it so far, but he's in position to go out in 14th place, which I believe would only net him 3 points plus the 4 he already has. So 7, not a bad takeaway from this match in particular, but obviously if you can just sneak yourself up in there to the top 10 maybe, that's when you're really starting to play with points.
I like how carefully Dilly was playing right there. I mean, we joked that he was taking a sigh of relief, wiping the sweat off of his brow, but he was really, I mean, he was trying to at least utilize the third-person perspective to make sure when he departed from that rock that he wouldn't be taken down, because phase 4, it's in full effect. These teams are likely going to be close enough to one another, or you're likely going to be close to at least 2 different teams that have the lines of sight on you. This tempo, G6, Team Anarchy, and AreYouScared positioning at least continues to hold steady. None of these squads are going to have to move just yet, but Method is likely going to be seeing some visitors fairly soon. It is none other than Nova, who's already picked up at least a few kills so far in this game. They'll be moving in off that eastern position. And Clay, he's got the Car 98 prepped and ready, spotting out Beowulf. Shot comes in, will be a body shot connection, dropping Beowulf down to about 60% HP. And he's got a lot of cover, a lot of rocks to hide behind to get those meds rolling, but they also need to be diligent because another team pinches them in between Method. It's going to be Team Anarchy right here on the hill.
Just going to keep them suppressed for now. Just by position, you don't even have to fire shots, just acknowledge that they're there. Next circle, about to pop. This is the moment we've been waiting for. A squad phase number 5 coming right at you. Put that map on your screen, and it's just congesting further in, but we've got about 7 squads that are going to have to make some rotations into this more congested area. You got Lights Out, Silent Killers, Ace, Unnamed, Spacestation Gaming, Version 2Y, and even Misfits. They're going to have to make this rotation into the circle. It's not going to be ideal here, and you can always see shots being fired from the teams that already exist and occupy the space. When you add some more components into it, well, bullets are just going to be flying everywhere, mate.
I'm curious to see which side of the map is going to be more active. Will it be the northern side, where at least a good bunch of teams have to move down to the south? Silent Killers already going to be starting to feel that on this southern trek, as Nova sprays and prays from this valley position, where they still are pinched in between 2 different squads, but safely inside of the northwestern part of phase number 5 and trying to gatekeep this full squad of Silent Killers that will likely be moving in here in just a few seconds' time, because, well, 10 seconds separates you, and that blue zone damage in phase number 5 becomes a little bit more than marginal, and it starts to really wear and tear at those meds. We've even seen entire squads wiped out by the blue zone, just getting stuck back there, the gatekeep in full effect, and they aren't able to rotate safely out of it.
Unnamed, they were going in quite early. They tried to get the vehicles to move in closer. Not into the play zone yet, just stopping, keeping an eye on, trying to get a scout, get some information about what they're going into. They may have to do this on foot. They've actually sent Raven in just to go further ahead. He's the active scout for the team, so he's gone ahead and just fed the information. But he's playing right at the edge now, so he may have just fed the information back that it's not as congested as we want. Lights Out, they're going in a little bit more direct, not really taking their time. Taking a lot of fire from both sides, but they made a little mobile fortress for themselves.
Lushy, the rest of G6 will be looking this way. Silent Killers certainly going to have their eye on the members of Lights Out, riding on the northern side of the cliff where Nova was previously holding. Mraz going to pop around the corner, spots out Siga. That's 3 members, or mark that 2, I think, currently down for the members of Lights Out. Memo, the only member still alive, trying to spray back. Mraz gets a lot of damage out. The connections to be had, but that's all she wrote. Lights Out will be eliminated in 13th position, and now Mraz takes over this positioning here on the northern side of phase number 5. A good grab by the Silent Killers.
Spacestation Gaming also getting on the kill feed there, dealing quite handily with version 2 white, so send them to an early grave as well. Shadow is going to be opening some fire down onto the smoke. Not quite sure what's in there, potentially going for a vehicle disable, as you can just see a silhouette through there, but Spacestation Gaming aren't anywhere near that vehicle now. Circle moving in, phase number 6 about to pop and force even more action. Shadow might need to save some ammo to deal with actual enemies rather than just a silhouette of a car.
I mean, Vikendi really just kind of kicks you off a bridge. Like, you're standing on a ledge, and they just come up behind you and give you a swift kick in the behind, and the action pops off left and right, and that's what we're seeing here. Reposition coming out of the side.
There we go. That's more like it.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. Action on the east, action on the north, and certainly fights that will be presenting on the southern side of things, but the action is already popping off as the shots start to ring out across the map, and G6 looking like they're going to be bombing in, at least on the northern side of the circle, where 2 other teams are currently holding. They will be safe inside of the circle, but are they going to be safe from the members of Team Anarchy and Nova?
Very uncharacteristic of Misfits to be chasing the circle rather than putting themselves firmly center. Got 2 down members of Silent Killers right now. Looking to be able to recover, but there's the flank from the side from Dilly, the solo player, cleaning up. He's not going to get more kills off the back of this Esquire. He's just squeezed out another couple of ones to add to his team's total. So he's down to 6 kills now and climbing up the placement points. He's going to finish off Mitts as well. This is exactly what you need to do as a solo player. Just get what you can. And if some team are taking engagement, third party the hell out of it.
Dilly is essentially the poster child for how you play a game when your team finds an unfortunate circumstance on the earlier side of things, but he's got to continue on here. I mean, his hand at least was shown. He is going to be exposed in terms of position now, recognizing that, popping off some smokes to get the concealment to disengage off of that area entirely and find a new place to at least call home and stay hidden, as Cream going to be pushing in here on the southern side of things. This is an area of phase number 6 that we expected to see at least pretty active. Tempo Storm going to be taking some fire from this direction, and will Tempo is a team that needs not to take any more casualties here, as they did lose Chica earlier on, working only with 3 members in one of the deadliest parts of the game.
Yeah, he did go for a rotation, which was compromised. Sixler's taking a few shots over at Cream, I believe. Kira, the rest of the boys staying up for now. Miski will be dealt with by a Lushy. G6 taking some casualties as well as Tempo are engaging Unnamed right now. Misfits, they've got a house on lock. playing very close to Method and AreYouScared, who aren't too all that interested in taking fights with them, as Mighty's more interested about looking at Spacestation Gaming.
I'm worried about this compound trade because if the circle shifts away from it, how will all three of these teams be able to disengage? AreYouScared? Mighty with the G36C says, I don't even care about disengaging off of this. I'm going to worry about Spacestation Gaming, and I'm going to gatekeep the hell out of them. Able to find some nice connections. I believe that was Sixless getting dropped down. Thankfully, they have a bit of a buffer zone in between these two squads to safely get the res, but the blue zone creeps on in, and that is some certainly unwanted pressure on the back sides of the members of our third place squad coming into today on the leaderboards.
Here's Munoz just eyeing up here with the bolt action rifle, has to turn back around to look at Space Station. Creamer entirely aware. Space Station is still lurking back there, but they have the benefit of the circle forcing him in. They're actually tanking the blue right now. I believe they're about to, so they have to move up. Try and get what they can here. As Chedo's going to be able to down Sixless. Dilly is tanking blue as he goes to go in. Threw a grenade in there to try and get some damage, but he exposes his position to G6. No way he walks out of this one alive. He's pretty good, been playing pretty well right now, but now he's tanking blue. Trying to reposition around the side, playing into the smoke. Dilly, have you just ninja'd yourself out of the stickiest situation possible?
Yeah, and kind of right back into it because now the next phase has popped and he's got to go down to the south.
He's still running?
A lot of attention on him. Ooh, try as you may. It's not going to be enough here. Killer from Team Anarchy spots out Dilly and takes out Ace Esports in 10th place position. A hell of a lot better than what they were looking at, possibly going out in 15th or 16th. But AreYouScared continues on. They don't care about where the action is coming from. They're going to keep their heads on a swivel 360 degrees, and they're going to be popping pressure accordingly. This shift, though, takes us down to the far southeast. Only two teams are going to be safe inside, and they're both on the edges. That's Cream Esports down to the south and Tempo off to the east, and they need to be diligent as all of these other enemy teams start to make their way in. They're going to be able to pick up a lot of damage, put out a lot of pressure, and not just force engagements between themselves and other teams, but force other teams to fight each other and whittle down each other before they have to worry about these final few phases.
Finally, Juicy did die. He was out in the play zone a little bit too long. The teams are looking for that reposition, as we've already highlighted. Beowulf off to the side for now. Karma actually given the drop down onto Lost. Meanwhile, Edwin from Nova is taking casualties. He's actually flushed out by Everfury. Beowulf priming a grenade as Nova encircling this building, but someone's already taken over this land. It's Method who are inside right now, and you can see Misfits lingering in the area as well. This is where things are going to start to get a little bit congested, but they're all not in that next phase, so someone's going to have to make a move, and they're going to be punished for doing so.
And this is what I was afraid of. AreYouScared is going to have to depart. Spots out Beowulf from Nova. Nice spray coming in and the flush secure, but here comes the back. Kato not going to be able to do anything. He gets dropped down as well.
Why does he just walk past Mighty?
Oof.
Oh, that was really bad. Mighty will go down eventually, but I was worried that they were just going to run straight past him there and just miss out, then get sprayed in the back. Misfits making a rotation around, trying to contest AreYouScared. We just light up onto Pyro, who's already been knocked down. And Uneven goes around, he just goes in one at a time. Like lemmings, they're being cut down as Jay has a great angle here just to deal with Percocet, just leaving one member remaining who snuck in there with the knock on the cow, but Jay's just going to come in and finish it off with the flush, with the kill. That's Misfits being taken out by AreYouScared.
Tough start for Misfits, but this is the compound curse when you have so many teams that just dive into these compounds. But when the circle shifts you out, it's an all-out chaotic fest for teams to just try to stay alive, not just pick up kills. Team Anarchy.
They just had to leave that one. They didn't have to fight it. He's tanking blue, you know that. But now he's also going to have to tank the blue. Micro TT in the sight lines of AreYouScared, going for the resurrection onto 9. But the rush is coming in from AreYouScared. They know they can just aggress onto this one. Easy clean up. There's nothing that could be said about that. AreYouScared climbing up the rankings? They're in the top 4 right now, Esquire.
You know, I mean, I just mentioned it. I'm going to go ahead and coin that. The compound curse. Well, AreYouScared? They're writing a textbook on how to handle that type of situation, and they're coming up huge with what they're being able to pick up. Kills as well as positioning as well as placement points as Method's solo player now tries to make that trek. G-Bay fighting against the blue zone. Nope. Oh, he's going down. He is going down, and out goes Method in 4th place position. I mean, Trent, we just saw about half of the lobby get dropped out in a matter of seconds.
Vikendi, what are you going to do?
Vikendi.
It's exactly how it's going to be played out. Let's have a look at what the state of the game right now. Cream Esports NA, they've got themselves a full-strength squad over to the left of your screen. You got two-man squads operating right now. You got Spec and Nico from Tempo, and Jay and TJ Tattoo from AreYouScared. We're just going to have a bit of a standoff, and I feel like this will be forced by the next circle location, which is actually moving towards Cream Esports NA, so this is looking to be their game to take here, Esquire.
Significant that Tempo has been able to make it here with only 3 alive. Losing Chica early did not affect their mental gameplay, and they've held strong, but AreYouScared going to be spotted out. Cream Esports now starts to put the hurt on one of the teams that was able to successfully evade that compound fight, and Karma finds the flush. But what can Tempo Storm do. They're trying to third-party this. They know that they have Cream Esports completely caught off guard and focused on a different direction entirely. But they're not able to pick up too much. Here comes Nico. M416 spray will be connecting onto Cheto, and he is able to secure the flush as well. Cream getting whittled down and torn apart by the members of Tempo Storm.
Yeah, but TJ Tattoo is still in this one, Esquire. He can third party this new fight that's now formed. You see Spec playing really far back against the edge just to get a wider angle as Nico's gone down. Kira unable to find it. Will get sprayed down, try and suppress him from aggressing. But it's going to be taken out there. TJ Tattoo picking up the extra kills. He turns on to Carmone. They're solo operators playing against each other. Cream Esports just able to put their heads on a swivel and deal with the aggression coming out from two parties, walking away with the first map win of the week.
A significant win for Cream Esports. This is a team that at least needs to make some big strides here, Trid, in this final week of semifinal gameplay, and that's exactly the way that you want to start. You want to have everything going well for you and roll into that momentum as you transition into our next 3 games of day number 1 of the final week of the PUBG Mobile Club Open Semifinals. If you guys at home have missed any of the action so far or are curious as to the standings, possibly some of the player stats as well, those have been updated. Head on over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com and make sure to also subscribe to the YouTube. We've got all of our VODs and highlights up there as well.
Yeah, before we go to our break though, special shout out there to Dilly. Valiant effort, racking up a lot of kills. Like, he was walking away. I think he ended up with 6 in total, which his team really had no business having, shall we say, based off the performance of going out or being hindered so early. I think such a costly fight in the first stage of the game, shall we say.
Yeah.
But that's all from us for this first part. We're going to do a quick break. When we come back, we've got Miramar coming right at you.
welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Club Open. It's a pretty exciting week here, Trid. It's not just the final week of competitive play for the semifinals, but it also whittles down the 24 teams into 16 that'll be moving on in just a few weeks' time into the North American regional finals, and then from there on, the top two teams from those regional finals, continue on to the global finals, where $2.5 million are at stake. And Trid, that's a pretty massive prize pool, but we're not there yet. These teams still have to try to fight through thick and thin to get there, and Vikendi was certainly one of those maps.
Let's have a look at some highlights from the previous matchup, though. It was Cream Esports NA walking away with that victory today, with a couple of kills to boot as well. Dilly is one of the players who stood out to me, though. This is him capitalizing on a third party he can just jump in on. Now, he was a solo player because Ace Esports took a very early engagement and ended up losing a lot of casualties, and these are his final moments, but he was able to score out a higher place finish, as well as make sure his team walked away with 6 kills as well. So he's obviously racked up a fair few points off the back of that, of what should have been a disastrous round.
A team that couldn't rack up those high placements, at least the high placements that they're used to, was Misfits. You just saw them wiped out to AreYouScared. But now the final moments of the game, this was an interesting three-way fight that really didn't work out in favor of Tempo. It came down to AreYouScared and Cream Esports to see who could become the victor, and well, lo and behold, it was Cream Esports, Drip.
Yeah, and one thing we just touched on there briefly was Misfits Gaming. We usually expect them to be quite loud and center of attention a lot of times when they're playing in these particular matchups, but we were just saying, we actually looked at our notes and were like, hang on a minute, did we highlight a team that wasn't actually playing today? Like, it made me second guess, because Misfits just didn't appear to be anywhere on the map. I couldn't even spot them on the minimap at times. I expected them to be in the center. So I feel as though that game was very uncharacteristic of what we usually see of Misfits, and hopefully as we move on to our second map, we'll see a little bit more lively gameplay from them. But let's have a look at our standings and see how map number 1 shaped things up. Ace Esports got themselves 45 points, but it's still not enough apparently to get themselves up the rankings whatsoever, but they have closed that gap. 2 points now between them and Lations Unidos, so we'll be able to overtake them at some point today.
Yeah, I think Ace walked away with around maybe 15 points total in that game. Not enough to bump them up, but as we continue up the leaderboards, we're starting to at least see a little bit of movement, not significant movement, but a lot of opportunity for these teams, at least in the bottom half of placements 9 through 16, to make some big strides. I mean, they're going to be able to maybe solidify their spot moving into the regional finals, or possibly even drop out. Depends. We'll have to wait and see. But here are your top 8. Misfits continue to climb. They've breached that 200-point mark. And, you know, also keep in mind, there are a few teams that aren't playing here today. If you see a team with 8 matches played by their name, well, you'll be seeing them throughout the rest of the weekend. Not here tonight. So don't discredit their performance when you see other teams clawing past them.
Still not that many points behind them. I believe it's only 25 that separate Misfits and Spacestation Gaming, who are head-to-head of that first match anyway. They should be able to easily catch those points, assuming Misfits continues to have slightly more quiet games than what we're used to seeing from them. And let's see if Spacestation Gaming break into that top 3, for example. That's when they'll really start to look at to get that overtake, because that's when the points ramp up. Of course, 30 points for that first place finish and 1 point per kill. We're going to jump into our second map of the night. We're just going over the skies of Miramar.
Yes, the desert is in full effect here. The temperature rose just a few degrees, or maybe a lot of degrees. You saw that commercial, the heat waves coming off of the ground, and well, the action will follow suit accordingly. It's going to be an interesting game, because we don't get a lot of Miramar here in this tournament, and you don't have a lot of opportunities to shift your strategy. Certainly only one opportunity max per evening of PUBG Mobile Club Open gameplay. But from that, another very, very fair playing path for these teams here in this lobby to at least be confronted with. It's going to be splitting the map in half. From south to north we go, and well, every team will be able to at least get to that loot location they have their eyes on. It might not be easy, but they certainly are going to have the opportunity to do so.
We're a fairly central flight path that makes it possible for teams to fan out. Because we don't see Miramar a lot, that does pose a lot of risk that we see some overlap with drop locations and teams getting a little bit too close to each other, which should make for a more exciting open than what we saw on Vikendi. Doesn't necessarily mean that it'll work out for the best for these teams. Actually, most of them still retaining inside that plane to the northern area of the map rather than the south and central. I wonder if any of them are going to loop back on themselves and head further down south, or if they're committing to this northern spread.
Well, if they were planning on going north, certainly some of those parachutes might be popping a U-turn in the air. I don't know. Do parachutes do U-turns in the air, Trid? What do
you can bank in the air in a you don't. It's not called a U-turn, like, because you can't.
Well, it
just,
is
like,
now.
You can't just 180, but you can definitely turn 180 degrees eventually. I think it'd be really difficult to parachute without it.
Yes, it certainly would be. Over here in the water treatment area, it's going to be Polar Ace Esports again. A team that we saw amidst early game conflict. They were able to successfully survive that, but with only one player alive, that's solo champion Dilly. But they do have the full 4-member squad here. They weren't working with those full 4 members in game number 1. I believe Shakas is the player that...
Shakes wasn't the player that connected to the previous game.
Yeah. So he's going to be coming in here, helping out this squad, looking for at least a similar or better performance out of Polar Ace Esports because, again, they didn't do all too terribly based off of what Dilly was able to salvage from that game. But shots already coming out as Nova's Kato finds VN1 early on here and ran, essentially trying to do just that, run away. And he's going to be chased down. That's going to be Sam and his teammate Beowulf. They're in the Bronco, and they're going to be pushing. I mean, they know he doesn't have a weapon, and they only have pistols to their name, but it's going to be a free kill pickup. Oh, he pops in. Pops in. Pops in the passenger seat. And Nova says, this is not your Uber. Check the license plate a little bit more carefully next time. And out they go. And that's an unfortunate loss early on here for VN1 Trid.
I mean, hopefully he was trying to blend in, act like you belong, you know, see if you can get away with that for as long as possible. Maybe go for a little ride with them.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Pretty much. He probably tried that, and he had to try something, because he's no weapon. He's being ran down by a motorcade. There's just not much he could do about that one. Let's have a look what's going on over in San Martin right now. We've got Team Anarchy and for Hokage splitting the territory. Hashirama's off in the distance. And Team Anarchy, for the most part, seem like they're more congested, more close together than that of what for Hokage is, but angles can sometimes be deceptive. They are playing on the border of that circle in the San Martin area, so it will potentially force teams to make a choice about whether they're going to hold edge or potentially go for greener pastures in the central circle a little bit earlier on.
If I could send a letter to the members of Fort Hokage with anything inside of that letter, I would say, guys, you don't need to be dropping in these highly contested areas, these high priority loot locations. You need to go for placements. You need to at least try to survive with all 4 alive, improve your chances as best as possible, or maintain your chances rather, throughout the game, and try to do whatever you can to get those points. They're in desperate need of them, having an kind of rough performance here in game number 1 to start off the day. But again, other teams here in this lobby, Cream Esports coming off of a huge first round chicken dinner with a few kills to boot, going to be facing off against Unnamed on the southern side of this road on the very far northern bit of Miramar. These are 2 of the teams that you mentioned jumping out extremely late and really didn't divert off of that path once they saw phase 1 pop while they were in the air.
Yeah, they are very northwest, and Circle is leaning over to the east and potentially a little bit more south. So, long rotations coming in for these 2 squads when they need to make it, but they're not alone on this one. Nova and VN1 aren't anywhere near the Circle. Same with AreYouScared. So, a lot of teams are going to be coming in from different angles to try and join in on the next phase worth of action. They're just looting up for as long as they can. They're probably going to end up tanking the blue as well if they're really on a hot streak or really struggling to find that loot, because the first phase blue circle is easily surmountable with minuscule resources spent.
Yeah, certainly. Both of these teams will have to disengage off of this area entirely. A few different rotation paths, though, are presented to them. They can safely go off of the west and then traverse down to the south, or do the exact same rotation over to the east and then enter that way. But again, one side might be a little bit more difficult, especially as we start to get a better grasp on where these teams are positioning themselves. Here over in El Pozo, well, the remnants of VN1, certainly 1 member down, will be in the arena, split off to the southern side of this town, while Nova has a strong hold on the northern side, and this is where a significant amount of the loot is going to be here in this area. VN1 is going to have a tough time trying to pick up the scraps, essentially not a lot of room for them to maneuver around, especially now that they have 1 member down.
Nova just keeping an eye on what's happening right now with the N1. Obviously, just going to see how that continues to play out as the circle is starting to move in now and force the hands of a couple of members. VSS given over to Beowulf. We've seen what this man can do with a little bit of range and a good gun. Sam picking up a similar weapon as well. So as soon as they get eyes on Bucky and Key, I believe that is, in that building across the way, they're going to be in a lot of trouble to try and evade the gunfire from this team. Cream Esports, they're making that rotation now, heading over to the east, then will probably approach the circle from a southern trajectory as they potentially stop off at a few more shacks to see what else they can find on their way.
Essentially a coin flip in terms of those rotations I just mentioned. You could go west and south, or you could go east and south. And well, they chose the east, and they're likely going to be facing off against the deadlier choice of the 2, because a lot of teams are already jam-packed into the northern side of phase number 1. But they got multiple vehicles to work with, diversify your risk on those rotations. I would have liked to have seen Kira and Munoz pop out, maybe get in the bike and split up their squad just a little bit more. but they are certainly going to at least be in a good position as they make that trek. AreYouScared, second place in game number 1. A good performance for them. They're going to be at least riding high off of that. You don't need to get first place in these tournaments every game to find yourselves in the top 16 positions. You just need that consistency throughout the entirety of the tournament. And again, it's a long one. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you were worried about them not being in the lobby, they're certainly here. Misfits now going to be showing up here as Percasas, so one of the players that we highlighted at the onset of the evening. One of our top leaders in kills and damage so far in the lobby.
Few shots being heard off in the distance. He's with good company though as he smashes his vehicle into the back of that truck and goes to set up with Pyra and the rest of the boys. They managed to get themselves fairly central, so this is more like the Misfits we're typically used to seeing here, Esquire. Get control very early on, play outward facing PUBG, and they're able to obviously start dealing with some damage, potentially to Spacestation Gaming, because they've got them in their sights and they've got the range. Sixless is going to return fire on the compound from a distance, and not connecting any of his shots just yet. Percasas seems to be the main target. He's now taking cover, trying to get those vehicles in cover to stop them from being disabled, put them into some line of safety, but the rear just keeps sticking out. There's the fire we expect from Misfits, giving a quick bit of damage to Sixless to remind him, hey, back up. This is our vehicle. This is our compound. Get out of here.
Our two head-to-head teams at the beginning of the night, literally going head-to-head here. And this is the result of Spacestation Gaming and where they landed. They landed down in the southeastern corner near that Puerto Paraiso area of the map. They
and
tried
yet
to
Misfits still got there first.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. Misfits didn't have too much of a trek either. They came off that Los Leones positions, but both of these teams, I mean, make no mistake, both of these teams are eyeing on this position for a reason. They have a strategy that plays around it. Unfortunately for Space Station, though, Misfits were able to lock it down first, but fortunate for Space Station, when you flip it on itself, they've got the defilade to work off of. Their position is not fully exposed, and now, with Juicy and the rest of the crew coming in, they're going to provide some much-needed support to Sixless on this hillside.
This is just keeping their eyes on this one. Now we're on board with Lights Out. We've made that rotation. There's still 3 squads not in the current play zone. Unnamed, Nova, and AreYouScared finding ways in. AreYouScared are coming in from the south, so they've definitely got the easier path out of the 2 remaining teams that need to make their way into the circle. Nova, like we said, they're just tanking the blue. They don't need to worry too much about it. Minuscule damage, minimal resources required. They're obviously finding a greater level of return. And now they're about to get on the wheels and start moving over. So the next circle has popped as well, so that kind of prompts further mobility and prompts them to maybe pull their finger out a little bit. As the next circle will pop fairly central, it actually moves more inland, so we're going to have more usage of the area available, and most teams aren't going to be too put out by where they have to travel to.
Yeah, if any teams were worried about those 2 islands off the eastern coast being implicated, one of the wilder circles that we see in PUBG Mobile, well, it's not going to be the case here. A sigh of relief heard across the desert. But certainly these teams have a lot to work towards in this lobby. Still, all teams remain, although we have seen, I believe, just one player dropped out, and it was that member of VN1.
Who got ran down.
Yeah, literally ran down. Literally ran down. But everyone else trying to get inside, and while Polar Ace Esports is finding themselves in a firefight with the members of Cream, at least putting out significant amounts of damage. Dilly with the Mini 14 able to find the connection on the Munoz. It has Kira completely trapped behind the Bronco, crashed into the tree, no movement whatsoever, and this is going to force the smokes, the utility now, to start to be deployed to try to find some concealment, not for the disengage, but just to avoid being shot entirely, as hopefully the teammates put out some type of cover fire from that warehouse. They're going to be able to at least do so. The lines of sight are to be had atop the hill on the horizon where Polar Ace Esports is currently positioned.
Kira needs that smoke to stay alive and move further away from the vehicle. It is a bit of a health hazard right now, staying close to a vehicle that hasn't been exploded. VSS fire coming in from range, and that's what Polar Ace Esports have access to right now. They just have a lot of range with their weapons. It makes it so easy to apply pressure to teams relatively safely you're unable to match. But there's Kira popping out the smoke a little bit too early. Will get knocked down by Jakob, and there's no one in the area to even risk that resurrection. So that's going to be a flush coming in for Polar Ace Esports.
And that's a third-party engagement right there. G6 have been fairly quiet in terms of the action popping off on the northwestern side of phase number 2. But Polar Ace Esports needs to be diligent. They need to be hyper-aware of the fact that there are other teams moving in, and Dilly is doing just that, getting to spot out team after team after team. And this time it's going to be the members of Team Anarchy up on a higher hillside than they, and they're going to find the connections. The high ground advantage is paying off in spades for the members of Team Anarchy, and Polar Ace Esports has now got to go back on the defensive and try to get their fallen teammate alive.
This northwestern corridor of the circle, the route of ingress to the circle, It's just becoming such a congested area where a lot of teams are trying to vie for favorable positioning. Nova, I think, are aware of what's going on here. They can hear the gunfire and they're taking an alternative path. They're actually leaving the area or trying to go in from a further south location of San Martin. But here's Chris getting sprayed down by Maluma. Silent Killer's looking to get out of this one here. This might be a case of Mirage just cutting his losses and getting as far away from the action as possible to stay in the game and play for some level of placement.
Sees the crate off in the distance, not going to be baited by that, pulls off into the compound and stops that push entirely and tries to reset. Silent Killers need to get at least their strategy reformulated. They got to keep their emotions calm because 16 teams still remain. Going out in 16th place nets you a whopping 0 points, Trid. And if there's anything we've learned, well, you need more than that. It's not going to be enough to cut it.
Yeah, we said you needed consistently. We need you to not be consistently bad as well. So
it works both ways.
Yeah, it works both ways. Consistency is a fickle beast. Next circle, going to go ahead and pop force everyone to that lethal northwest corridor we've already mentioned about, where teams have already got themselves set up. So the likes of Misfits, who were fighting territory with Spacestation Gaming over that compound, it's now for naught because they're going to have to move and shift further away. I expect to see Misfits try and go here for a center crash, potentially get some favorable positioning inside the circle quite quickly, because you can see they've already made themselves mobile. They might be going for a bit of a wraparound, but I imagine they will end up fairly central at the end of it, unless they feel they might be getting to the area a little too late.
And phase number 3 presents some interesting, at least, obstacles for teams that are going to be trying to play off of that center strategy. The La Bendita crater is going to be implicated here, and well, I don't think that many teams are going to say off of their first or priority location, guys, we're bombing inside of the crater. That's exactly where you want to be. You essentially make yourself a fish in a barrel for any of these other teams. This is the position, though, that you go for, the hillside, the high ground where Lights Out is currently posturing. And it's going to be a good position for them to hold on to, not just to pick up some damage and some frags onto their enemy teams, but also to pick up that much-needed information. It's a lot of different factors that play into a team being able to have success, and certainly rolling your vehicle down there is not one of them, but he lands it. And again, Memo says, Esquire, I was not worried about it whatsoever. Nailed it.
Well, Bill's about to pull up onto 2 members of Cream. They're lying in wait in the prone position, not making any noise, but they're certainly hearing Miski. They're hearing his teammate as well. It's Bill lining it up. Just trying to third-person peek, moving around the vehicle, firing some shots. So that wasn't a giveaway already. Look at Cheto and Karma just hiding here. 2 members of Cream Esports waiting to spring a trap on Unnamed. And they're being very patient hunters right now because they're in that next phase. They don't have to move for it anytime soon.
2 snakes inside of the dump truck. Trey, they're going to be unexpected, at least here, and it's going to be interesting to see if the members of Cream pop out of here. There's no need for them to just yet. They're safe and sound on the northern side of this circle, but Unnamed needs to at least be aware of this. They cannot think that anywhere is going to be safe, and I kind of fear for them right now because they haven't checked it. They haven't even gotten the indication of any enemy presence.
Keep running very close to it, but they're not close enough for a trap to be sprung yet. Miski looking outside, but he won't venture out there himself until a rotation forces their hand. I imagine they will stay in the safety of this building for as long as they possibly can.
Imagine what a nade could do here.
A nade into the dump truck?
Yeah, maybe just
why would they throw the nade into the dump truck though?
Because you always have to assume that there are snakes in the grass as a metaphor.
You don't waste a grenade on a Hail Mary like that. They have absolutely no reason to believe that Cream are there.
Come on, if you have trouble picking up nades in PUBG Mobile, then you are not looking properly. And after seeing this, well, I think everyone's going to be throwing nades because, I mean, hey, picking up 2 kills would certainly be nice. Certainly be nice, Trid.
It would be, and I agree with you. You know, he's not exactly strapped for the supplies, but when he does get down to the final moments, you're going to wish you had that grenade, especially if it turns out that no one is hiding in that dump truck. Miski's just poking around the corner. The rest of Unnamed buying their time for that next phase shift. It's about to hit your screens right now, as it's probably going to move itself further over to the east, fairly central as well. So a lot of distance to be traveled by Sin, the rest of Unnamed. This is now Cream's opportunity to capitalize on this and hit them as they look to rotate out.
Exactly. I want to see the members of Cream pop up once they start to feel these rotations are coming. They're going to be hearing the vehicles moving.
Raven's already gone. They've let one go.
Yeah, one is gone, and this actually might be the time for the members of Cream Esports to swarm. This is Cream, who came off of that huge game in game number 1, the chicken dinner finish, and they're trying to keep up that consistency by not overplaying their hand. V&1, though, pushing on. 3 members alive, lost ran early on to the members of Nova. Keep in mind. And they're going to be entering in off this far western edge of phase number 4, right near the Minas Generalis area. And well, they certainly might be finding a few other teams in this area. It's going to be the members of Lights Out spraying down, finding a lot of damage, at least on the Lucas. He's not going to be dropped down just yet, but Kui is coming up to try to help out as well. But the vehicle explosion at the hand of Seagut is ending up taking down one of the members. Now 2 drop down as the members of Lights Out try to back off of this, try to possibly reset without losing too much.
Central circle position, unable to be held by anyone. You can see Bucky going in here with the res, has the VSS to boot. Essentially try and contest him. Carnage is being dropped down by Chica. Smoke grenade being applied to Lucas to release some of the pressure and make the resurrection easier for the members of the N1. You can see Raven and the rest of Unnamed setting up on this high ground area. Just off in the distance, you see Nova as well as Misfits, who are trying to recover from a few knocks they've taken so far in this round.
The South is going to be insane, Trid. I'm keeping my eyes on this area, and this is exactly where we want to go. Tempo Storm trying to work their way up the hill, but teams on their back, teams on their front that they're trying to compete against. Spacestation Gaming moving in, able to find some nice knocks right there. Juicy with the Mini 14 on to Chica, but Lost continues to look ahead. He continues to keep that head on a swivel and try to spot out any of the enemies approaching from all different angles. For Hokage, able to stay alive as well. They got the high ground position, but they have also taken some casualties. I believe Hashirama bleeding out and just trying to recover off this as Tempo Storm just gets absolutely destroyed here.
Lost is the only member still in play for Tempo Storm right now. His teams are scattered over this field. They're unable to get out there with the reses.
No.
He's been spotted out by Sunade. Goes up to the hedge, hides in the shrubbery. One shot is all it takes, and there's the spray down. Sunade says goodbye to Lost and the rest of Tempo, getting himself a tasty squad wipe.
It's the best feeling in the world when you're laying prone and the head just pops beautifully into your scope.
Tempo also died with 0 kills as Squire. It's not looking good for them this time around. As for Hokage moving up to Spacestation Gaming, Angry won't be knocked down until more come in there. Hashirama, the last remaining member left standing against Juicy. It's a Mano Imano 1v1 right now. Trying to keep it going, but 4 Hokage have just been cleaned out there. Angry did exactly what he needed to do with the knocks, and they're going to be sent straight to the graves.
And Spacestation Gaming is probably the best position that they could be in to try to recover off of that. Defilade on their northern flank, protecting them from all other 12 remaining teams in the lobby, as Carnage continues to be the personal EMT for his other members. Sixless and Angry will be rezzed, but they did lose their vehicle in the process. Other teams now starting to at least feel the hurt that these circles have been putting onto them. I mean, Trid, looking at this circle, it kind of splits itself off. We got the La Bendita crater down to the south, the Minas Generalis area up to the north, and in between, wide open area. You're going to call it essentially a no man's land, where if you cross, you are going to be taking fire, and it all comes down to, can you get those smokes out? Can you get whatever pressure you need to be applied to make the rotation, no matter how far?
G6 just playing around this edge. They're going to have to leave Ozwi alive. He's just finally died. 2 to play zone out in the blue, so 3 members alive for the side of G6. A further eastern shift coming in. Method in a great position now, and this is a team that needs to pick up the pace when it comes to the standings. They're starting to fall behind and out of favor. If they can abuse this circle and the fact they've got central position, not give up too much too early into the final phase of this game, they could potentially come away with a top 3 finish here and get themselves back up on the leaderboards.
Members of G6 trying to maneuver their way through the crater, spawning out Spacestation Gaming up on the hillside. Carnage certainly going to be taking some pressure. Not the intended damage that Alessi was trying to throw out with the M416 shots, but it certainly is being applied, and you kind of hope that G6 pulls off of this and rotates a different direction. But other teams are trying to do exactly that. Anarchy able to pull up to a nice dip. We're going to call this Anarchy Dip, all 4 alive, and at least safe here on the eastern side of the Minas Generalis area and on the northwestern side of this next circle. But a lot of teams, Trid, are going to be coming this direction. It really comes down to how can Team Anarchy play this. Will they be able to get the kills? Will they be able to at least put out enough pressure to send other teams packing from their direction?
Misfits about to roll up on version 2 white. This could be quite dangerous for them if they don't have the information. As you can see, Zenith taking a more direct approach, uneven, looking for the flanks on the outside. Version 2 white are adapting to this one. I think they're aware someone's about to crash into their compound. Uneven starts to take fire off to the side. Gonna return it straight back on the version 2 white. Will deal damage, but not gonna knock, and in turn, ends up getting knocked himself. Xenoff looking for a better angle. Pyro's also down, feeling the hurt as well. 2 members, only 1 member left standing actually in Xenoff, as Perksas has already been taken out and flushed. He's going to go for the 1v4 right now. There's one knock to kick it off. Sprays around through the door frame, but Bad Players able to clean this up nicely. Misfits going out in 11th place.
Another really tough position for the Misfits to exit out of here in game number 2. Again, sitting pretty at the top of the leaderboards, but a kind of categorical shift off of the playstyle that we had seen from them in the previous 3 weeks of gameplay. They're not finding themselves inside of the circle. They're being essentially forced to really put their skills to the test from both a team synergy standpoint and both an individual mechanical standpoint. But AreYouScared are going to be under fire as Nova tosses some nades. They're going to be finding connections onto a ton of unnamed members inside of the shack, trying to hide, but it's not going to be doing much here as they try to find the remaining member out. They go 7th position will be Unnamed exiting the game, and Nova picking up more and more kills on this warpath.
CVN1 in the distance as well as Spacestation Gaming. VM1 aren't actually in the circle yet. They need to press forward a little bit further to be in the play zone. They can only do that if they can avoid the fire of Carnage, who's taking the shots off in the distance. Already got a knockdown onto Lucas. Key is in the area to potentially go for the res, but now they have to pivot around here. They're not alone. They're not the only squads in the area still, and they're taking a lot of fire from alternative angles. I'm going to see Lucas actually go down to the play zone there, going for the kill deny, I believe. No, actually, the area is going to slowly climb in. So if you're not too careful, they will end up finding themselves caught outside the zone. And it's just collapsing even further onto Method right now.
We do have a bit of a divide inside of phase number 5. It's that road that splits from the northwestern side of this phase down to the southeast. And while Method, yes, they sit pretty inside of the compound on the eastern side of things, but other teams will be moving in with their eyes on that prize. And Spacestation Gaming is starting to feel the hurt. Shots from across the map going to be coming out from Nova. They've got the AWM in place, and Sam will be utilizing it to its full potential, finding a nice knock on one of the members of SSG.
Puts them on the back foot, slows down their approach into this new area as they have to go back for the resurrection before the blue moves in. Deals too much damage right now to be able to ignore and fight again, so it's important to get Angry back on his feet nice and early. That's exactly what they've done. They're still going to be entering into the circle late. Carnage will get the knock onto Beowulf, so Nova are feeling the hurt right now. They are having their fire return onto Everfury's got a nice angle there onto TJ Tattoo. 2 knocks. You can just go ahead for the flush right now. Cal's too far away to deal anything. He's got the reinforcements as well. Carnage trying to get the kill steal as well away from Method. As they're also taking engagements with Miraz. Everfury will be knocked down by Carnage, and he's going to be limping around for now. We'll hopefully get the resurrection coming out onto that one.
It's funny, I imagine the Method comms going like, I'm going to go get this flush. Nope, 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 nope. Back into the building we go because it's not going to be safe. Space Station Gaming in a position to res once again. Sickless' second knock of this game will be bleeding out faster and faster and faster. But the Silent Killers, well, they have been at least a little bit silent, but now they're starting to really show their hand, finding out some of the other enemies around here, getting the knocks left and right, and advancing their position. But Space Station Gaming going to be bombing into the compound where Method was, and they're taking fire. But the support players angry in the backside, the Overwatch position, able to take down Clay, providing much needed help to Juicy, but he ultimately will be knocked as Carnage rushes in, AKM prepped and ready. He's going to be traded out as well. Method is very, very effectively controlling this compound and defending it from any enemy infiltration.
Makes sense. That's the location that Space Station would go for here on the aggression grenade. Being charged up by Felix off here. Gonna throw it through the window. I think everyone's safely away from it and won't be affected. Steamy knows where these are coming from, though. He even just saw a Molotov fly off to the right, so he knows there's a team over there. He just doesn't know who and how many. Hopefully he's trying to get some more information to feed it over to his team. Juicy now being flushed out as well. Carnage is on his knees right now, and Method trying to find a safe way to potentially go for this. Now the members are back up on their feet. Going to be healing up as the angle's being protected by that third member of the team. Angry, just keeping an eye as Everfury will walk out straight into the line of sight of a Micro Uzi. He dropped down to his knees. Angry going to rotate around. Carnage will end up getting that flush onto Everfury. So they keep picking away at Method and trying to get themselves in a better position.
And on the minimap, you saw the next phase shift over directly on top of members of Nova. They were sitting back, they were listening to this firefight, thinking, okay, this is great, the teams are getting whittled down, but we might have to make a cross across the wide open area in this next phase. Nope, they are going to be sitting pretty, and it's essentially Nova's game to win here. They just have to look over and spot out every other enemy presence left in this lobby, coming from east, trying to make their way over to west and into safety. And if there's any team, rather, that could do it, Trid, I think it's certainly going to be this Nova squad. They've got Beowulf, Sam, Kato prepped and ready, and AWM in their hands as well, and they're a force to be reckoned.
Smoke in there just from a previous engagement, I imagine. No one really has that area apart from them. Just keeping their eyes on SK, who are surprisingly Silent Killers getting into the higher echelons of this map is a nice surprise. It's very welcome. Space Station Gaming, obviously they want to be up there. They're expected as one of the better teams, as well as Nova. If SK can sneak out a second place finish from this one, could be huge for them considering who they're up against. Angry going to decide to not allow that to happen. Comes in there with the flush as well. Mitz, the last member remaining. Angry knows exactly where he is. He hasn't got the HP to challenge it, but he's still going to go for it anyway. Going to try and go for the spray down, coming up from behind. Blue Zone tanking. Angry, what are you doing? You've opted into dying there? Carnage
goes
does something
down as
similar.
well.
Mitz will fortunately fall down. They've actually just gifted this one over to Nova right now, because Angry will die, so it's Sixless versus 3 members of Nova.
Yeah, I think Space Station realized they had to wipe out the members of the Silent Killers there to at least even contemplate making this trek. Sixless deployed the smoke concealment. He's got at least the opportunity to move without taking blue zone damage. Can he get up to the crate, which would be the saving grace for him? Sure enough, he is able to make it, but grenades are going to be raining down on his position. One nicely placed grenade will take him out of the game, and they are continuing to fly in. Spots out Sam, tries to spray him down on the left side of the crate, not able to do so. A huge Game 2 victory going the way of Nova Esports, Beowulf, Kato, Edwin, and Sam with a nice 10-kill chicken dinner.
When you look at the likes of Space Station Gaming, they got themselves even more kills there, Esquire. What is that? There's a 20-kill game coming out from them right now. It's absolutely huge. And I'd be willing to say that they probably had a really good performance that game until the final moments. I really hope that production was able to play some kind of circus music when that was happening, because it was a clown fiesta. It's
Yeah,
just, it made
it
no
certainly
sense.
was. What's the name of that song? It's like, you know, the clown fiesta music.
I'm guessing just circus music. You can go for
Sure.
the entertainer. That might also work, but it's not the one that no one's thinking of.
It's the what's it? Benny Hill music. The Benny Hill music.
Oh, they want the Benny Hill
yeah, the
music?
Benny Hill. I feel like that was perfect right
That
there.
could also work as well. But that's Miramar for you. We only get to see that once on a blue moon, so glad you were able to catch that one. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring you the final 2 maps of the night.
Do you play PUBG Mobile? Maybe you never run out of stamina. Maybe you're always aware of your surroundings. Maybe you're an amazing cook with the pan. Maybe you're a great driver. But as soon as you hear the sound of an airplane, you get into the zone. In PUBG Mobile, you all come from different walks in life. But you face the same dangers on the battleground. And you become friends. You work together to overcome the obstacles. This is PUBG Mobile. There's a #1 in all of us. Welcome to the PUBG Mobile first anniversary party. PUBG Mobile, be the one.
Welcome back, everyone, to the PUBG Mobile Club Open for the North American regions. My name is Esquire, joined here by Trid, and well, we are well into the semifinal stages. 2 more days after this to be played out on Saturday and Sunday, but 2 more games. Trid, what is it?
So what is it? It's the double helping of Erangel. As always, the ending 2 maps of every day, it's always going to be Erangel. You get this map right, you're going to guarantee yourself a fantastic position on the standings. Speaking of which, let's go have a look and see what they look like after Miramar's action. We'll be pulling those up very shortly, but I can imagine that we're going to be seeing some slight mobility here. Ace Esports finally getting out of that 24th space position, but of course, the Lations Unidos still need to play their games of the week. They're currently sat on 8 matches played because they are not playing today. That's exactly what Group C is doing, while Group A and B have all the fun.
Exactly, and keep that in mind. Other teams still able to rack up these points with a 2-game differential, and well, I want to at least take note of this. Tempo Storm has not had a great day today, falling short very far in both games 1 and 2, and not able to really rack up the points that they need. They got to be at least a little bit worried about what these other teams here in this 24-team group or lobby or whatever you want to call it are going to be able to put up here over the next 2 days. But here you are, your top 8 positions. So the global leaderboards for North America, Spacestation Gaming has toppled Misfits Gaming. And
by 10 points.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still a top, but when you take into consideration the game that Spacestation Gaming just had, well, Trid, that was quite impressive. That was a 42-point finish, 20 kills plus 2nd place, which nets them 22 points from that alone.
Yeah, really impressive. Let's go have a look at some highlights from that match in particular, just to refresh yourself as we move into having a look at the Miramar section of this map. And there's something that's quite interesting that happened. Tried to pull a sneaky one on Nova by just jumping in their vehicle, but it was not to be. Beowulf there with the pistol, easy going to clear Ran out, the first blood of the entire game.
One of the easiest kills as well that Unnamed from 4 Hokage has ever found in his life. It's a 1-tap dirt nap, and out goes Tempo Storm, again, early on here in this Miramar match.
Of course, more engagements for them, unfortunately, unable to win out against Spacestation Gaming. Juicy with the long distance, able to clean them out. Nova still in the game. They got into themselves very late into it. Able to find Unnamed in just this shack where it was just a murder house for them ultimately, and these are the final moments of the game coming up.
Ooh, tough go right there for Method. You might say, man, they were picking up kill after kill, but unfortunately, they were getting the knocks, not the finishes. Spacestation Gaming off of that flank position were able to capitalize on that, and that's one of the reasons, or one of the, I guess, examples that led them into that 20-kill 2nd place finish. Weren't able, though, to combat against the likes of Nova, who still had the numbers to work off of, but a huge effort from Spacestation and a huge game for Nova Esports.
A huge effort, and also they were their own greatest enemies there. They just completely dropped the ball in the final moments. They were in a great position to be able to take that away and get the victory. Imagine, with the 20 kills, they could have had a 50-point game, really, and that would have been something absolutely obscene. Would have broken a record, I believe, at least in North America, for the amount of points accrued in a single map. But unfortunately, they got a little bit too distracted by the third parties of AreYouScared and did not really keep their eyes on the ball. We're about halfway through our broadcast, though. If you want to catch up with all the information, you can just use the command !club open. I believe that'll give you all the information you need. Take you over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com. Gives you standings, highlights, lets you know what's going on in the other regions as well. You don't want to just be focusing on North America, because when we get to the global finals, you want to be understanding and impress all your friends with, hey, I know this particular player from the Middle East region. And they're like, oh,
yeah.
well, monocle, all that stuff, really fancy about it. So lots of opportunity there for you to catch up on the information. But we're going to be jumping into Erangel for the second half of our broadcast, and that's a very southern flight path for a lot of teams.
The Circle Karma hits. We got 2 awesome playing paths for games 1 and 2, dissecting the maps in half, and well, now we have our Erangel matches playing all the way down there to the south. From east to west we go. And we're going to be keeping our eyes on some of those hot contested areas that have been contested the entirety of this tournament, all 4 weeks. Well, Pochinki has never been free and clear for any team to pick up.
It's usually been unnamed territory, though, so I imagine they're going to go there. Novo uncontested, as usual. Usually the other hotbed is Milta, and we're going to see when the teams start to disperse a little bit further, whether that's going to be implicated or not in some kind of hot drop scenario. I imagine we'll see another squad drop on Pochinki with Unnamed. It typically seems to be the case, but Unnamed are so well versed at defending that location and kettling an enemy team into a select portion just to starve them of loot and information. They usually get a sizable or a reasonable outcome from going to Pochinki.
So Trid, something that I'm picking up on here, and which is sort of continued as a theme throughout the first 2 games, is Misfits are changing things up a little bit, and they're not going to be going down. This is Novka military base, and I think a bit of regret is now hitting them in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're getting that military circle right off the bat. There is, very slim chance that we end up with a Northern Erangel finish, but it is likely going to be going down there. And the only team in sight on that beautiful island with 2 connections to the northern side is going to be Nova, down in the Novo area. And they're going to be looting up to their heart's content. No worries for them whatsoever. You saw on the map a little bit ago, Spacestation Gaming was trying to stretch up to that Yasnaya Polyana spot on the map. And we're already starting to see Trid some action popping off, and it's none other than Misfits on the receiving end of it. And it just continues to kind of throw question marks up into the air. Polar Ace Esports. That's a flush, uneven. He's out of the game.
Just immediately off the bat, I don't understand what's happened to Misfits today. They've landed in Gatka with Lights Out and Polar Ace Esports, and it's not looking too hot for them right now. Gonna get that loot. Shakes and Sizzo gonna be moving towards Percocet. They're on the hunt, and it's gonna spray down on him. This is absolutely disastrous for the Rabbits right now. They're just unable to stay in the game. That's another clean flush onto Percocet. 2 members remaining for Misfits, and the game's barely even started, Esquire.
But I love that Polar Ace Esports is capitalizing on this. They are now taking fire, though, from some of the other members of Misfits. Well, the only 2 remaining members of that squad alive, pushing them off of that location and back to the comfort of their own compound to loot up. But now Pyra and Zenith. Zenith, the newest addition to this roster, coming in 2 weeks ago to replace Acer on this lineup. Well, they're trying to have some big games. They're trying to at least hold on to this lead, and there's no real, pressure for them in terms of getting pushed out into the bottom 8 teams of this 24-team lobby.
You can't even put the change in performance on Misfits on Zenith, because last week Zenith was playing, and he played fantastically.
That's an impact player for this Misfits squad. I mean, it definitely, don't mistake my words for saying Zenith is the problem. There's just something going on here, and maybe it's Misfits trying out some different strategies. Maybe they're just switching things up, or maybe they're just having a tough time on today's games.
It's based on the points they've accrued. It's very unlikely they don't make the finals, even if they were to tank the remaining maps this weekend, right? But your seeding is still going to be important, because after the end of this stage, the teams are going to be, well, actually, it's not even important anymore at this stage. Actually, they could legit just tank the matches if they want to. They want to experiment, because top 16, we don't need to do groups anymore. You just open into competition with whoever, and seeding doesn't affect anything. So I'm just having these realizations as we're talking now that, they could just be experimenting in preparation for the future, knowing that they've secured a position in the regional finals.
I wish some of these other teams had realizations that the map is big enough to not land amidst conflict. Tempo Storm, you just saw them on your map, right next to the members of Unnamed and Pochinki, and that's an area that both of these teams have gone to traditionally throughout the course of the group stages in the semifinals. I
kind of want to go back there as well.
Likewise.
I want to see what Unnamed's doing with the space they've been given. Version 2 White, we're going to knock onto VN1 over by Shelter, actually. And we can see that, look at this, the center is occupied entirely by Unnamed, and Tempo was spread out in a line on the eastern side. Lost thinks he found the opportunity to get some damage onto Unnamed and start forcing them back and potentially kettle them into an area of Pochinki, but Unnamed aren't being starved for loot here. They have so many options and so many properties to go ahead and loot from. unlikely they're going to be able to be knocked down here because of starvation of resources.
Killfeed does show us the Misfits have re-engaged with the members of Polar Ace Esports. Dilly trying to push
There's
off.
two
This
down
Misfits
at the
push.
moment as well.
That's 2 down and only 2 members alive
They
for
might do
Misfits.
this.
That marked that 3 down now. Polar Ace Esports is getting ripped apart. They were able to pick
Where's
up those
Dilly?
2 kills early on. But yes, exactly. What can the solo player, the champion of this Polar Ace Esports team, what can he do here? Because probably getting the reses is going to be a difficult task now that Pyra has moved into the second story of one of the more favorable compounds. He might
He's
even
on
be
the roof.
he's on the roof. He's popped up there. He's in the most dangerous position that you could be if your name is Dilly or Pro DJ trying to get the res.
He's just guarding the corpse. He knows roughly where this is, so he wants to keep an eye on him, just to make sure that anyone runs out there potentially going for the res. Dilly's going to buy his time. Now that Xenoff is healed up, it means him and Pyra are able to push on this in a 2v1 scenario. Dilly can still win this back for Polar Ace. Just needs to make sure that his aim is true and rely on the fact that Misfits don't tend to spread as much as they could do to try and deal with this.
If this were any other area on the map, Polar Ace Esports would be dead. But thankfully, they are in Gatka. And, well, if you play PUBG Mobile, the area of Gatka, you can see it right here, the most bushiest place on the map. Nowhere on Erangel do you see any other terrain like this, providing that much needed concealment. Again, not covered because bullets do penetrate the bushes, but Pyra and his team are going to continue to look around for the remaining members of Polar Ace. And this might be a dangerous, at least, proposition to make because they are vulnerable. All Dilly and Pro DJ need to do is spin around and get some shots up, but they're trying to recover off of that as well. Both teams have lost a lot in terms of what they need to work with going through the mid to late game.
2 players for 2 players. Pyra's still in the area. Now he's going to be sprayed down a little bit by Pro DJ. He's been put on the back foot immediately. The buggy's still circling the area with the reinforcements for Misfits. Xenoff coming in from the side. Pro DJ has fire returned upon him. Trying to get more information. Pyra with no HP is forcing himself up here. Pro DJ holding the angle right now. Doesn't have the vision. He merges with the spray down onto Xenoff. Gonna get the flush on that one as well because Pyra was also knocked. Misfits just biting off more than they can chew right now.
That's the worst finish that we've seen from Misfits throughout the entirety of this
16th
tournament.
place.
16th place. They got 2 kills, and that's all the points they're going to be walking away with. 0 from placement, 2 from kills. And well, this is going to give at least some other teams an opportunity to rack up some points, maybe try to contest some of those leaderboards and get into the top 16. Again, you know, Misfits are sitting pretty happy at the top. They're not going to be in danger of dropping out unless something crazy happens over the next 2 days. But teams are already starting to make those rotations from north to south and trying to get inside the safe zone.
What are you
2
doing?
White driving through a bit of
Oh,
a
they got
crossfire.
Kono.
Yeah, that's absolutely wild. A car kill coming out. Able to spray down from the windows of the vehicle and connect onto Nova, but they're not going to be turning around.
No.
Shred. They're sending it. They said, thank you, thank you, Mega. Thank you, bad player, for putting out that damage. We are going to continue on now and get that positioning because that's going to be ever so important here. And again, I mean, I just have to ask, you know, Misfits, had they landed in their traditional spot, they'd be in an entirely different situation, Shred.
Absolutely, and what I do want to actually see with this one, just because I love chaotic circles, is if this starts hard shifting up north and it doesn't end up on Military Island now that all the teams are rotating in, because when the teams are scattered down, it will, if it does fall back like that, only one bridge will be implicated as well. There's going to be a massive choke fest to try and get through that transition if it moves back onto mainland Erangel.
Certainly, and that's something that these teams need to be aware of. I mean, it could definitely shift back up towards the north. Method going to be involved in a fight with Cream Esports as they trade out 1 player on each team. At least the knocks coming out as Silent Killers hold on to the choke point on the eastern bridge, leading from Melta down to Sosnovka.
It's smart.
Yeah, Spacestation Gaming will be making that rotation, riding the coastal line, using the cliffside as their saving grace, but they're not going to be pushing it across the bridge just yet. And this might be Spacestation Gaming trying to feel out this area of the map, but Cream Esports going to be taking casualties and actually putting out a significant amount of damage onto the members of Method.
You can go finish this off. The remaining member of Method is on his way in a vehicle now. He's going for the res, but he's not looking the right way. You can see Clay there. Doesn't know exactly who it is. Might be assuming it's another squad coming by. He's going to get the res. He's actually leaving G-Bay up for the time being, and finally will get the spray down after the res comes in. This is going to be a good recovery for Cream Esports.
Yeah, so I always like to look at my gameplay, and I know these players do the same. You want to take out that enemy player that's knocked. You don't want any information to be fed over to the remaining member of Method. That could have spelled disaster. But here it is, phase number 2. Heart shifts over to the western side of things. In all likelihood, we will be continuing to move down towards Sosnovka Island, the northern side of Erangel, getting further and further shifted out. And teams are on the bridge on the western side of things. It's becoming a bit of a cluster mess. And, well, who is going to be able to work their way out of it? It's going to be tough to tell, Trid.
And for Hokage, going to be holding down this bridge on the western entrance, which is still going to be implicated by that next circle. The eastern bridge, not so much anymore, so it does cut off one of the avenues of passage between the main island and the military island. For Hokage, just disabling vehicles as well, going to make it a little bit easier. Version 2 White finding a knock onto Cream. Make that 2 as Was gets the spray down with the UMP. The 2 members of that team.
Version 2 White not shying away from battle. You saw them get the knocks onto Nova in that transition, and now they've found Cream Esports. But it's going to be a vehicle explosion on the hands of Version 2 White that ends up getting a team kill. So one of their members starting to feel the hurt, and well, Cream is going to be capitalizing on that right now. Version 2 White, we're not seeing it on screen right now, but they are really feeling the hurt in this engagement as AreYouScared continues to look onto this bridge for Hokage, certainly in the death grasp of the members of AreYouScared. But for right now, split off into 2-2. Up in the lighthouse, 2 of the members, and then TJ Tattoo moving over to Cal to try to pick up the res onto his fallen comrade.
Guess they're just in the nick of time as well.
That's a friend.
Not going to be able to be dropped out, as we've seen so many heartbreaking moments where the teammate just arrived just a little bit too late. Angry at the rest of Spacestation Gaming, they're securely on this main island now, and they're looking for a position that's fairly central for the time being. But they have got a lot of squads in the area, and they're going to opt for this high ground position to pivot off of just as the next couple of circles progress.
Saw a few interesting rotations come out while these teams were trying to make their way down. This is Novka Island. Lights out, got in the boat and made a far transition around the western side of things before Hokage continues to hold strong on the bridge, spotting out TJ Tattoo. He's going to be flushed out of the game. The player that came to save Cal is now gone, and Cal has to do whatever he can to try to stay alive. His other 2 members, remember, they were split off trying to hold on to this lighthouse station, but one of the members of Lights Out, well, they're going to be over here. C got prepped and ready down the hillside, just a few meters short of where Mighty's position is currently held.
It's really difficult for AreYouScared right now because 4 Hokage did spot out 2 members down there, so they are aware that Cal is still hiding in the area. Should be able to punish him if he arises and they're not pressured from alternative angles for the time being. I do like what Seagut is doing right now. He obviously knows someone's across. Here's VM1 taking the long swim in. They're coming over further east. You can just see Nova in the distance there. They are being chased by the blue zone. They will make landfall on east of Sosnovka Island. They're going to have to move themselves in past G6, who are gatekeeping their nearest point of ingress.
They're going to be taking damage, and I don't believe any of these players are currently boosted, and that's significant to note because you can't heal in the water. The only type of heals that you can encounter here is when you got the boost rolling that heal over time. They can become at least sort of impactful in that type of situation. But they continue to swim nonetheless. Hashirama for full Hokage. Still going to be on the southern side of this bridge, and AreYouScared? Well, they make the long dive as well into the channel here on Erangel that separates the northern and southern play areas. And, well, they're at least going to be able to make landfall, but you have to worry about that at least backwards position, as well as phase number 3, which is about to pop and continue to shift down south. And it's a little bit off center trip, but not by much. Trout or Cow are going to be spotted out. Hashirama with the scar finds the connection, and it's an easy pickup for Hokage.
Nice to secure the shores around a prime location. Now that it has 100% confirmed that they will be playing on Sosnovka Military Island with that next circle popping. So Lights Out, Ace Esports, Unnamed, and Silent Killers all need to go across that western bridge to get onto the island of play. And of course, we've still got 4 Hokage, and now actually AreYouScared members who made the manual swim across. Going to be playing gatekeeper to the teams who need to make it over to this new territory.
VN1, you just saw them on your screen. They were able to make landfall, but they will be utilizing a lot of meds to recover off of that blue damage that they took in between phase 2 and 3 popping. But other teams are trying to make that trek from north to south. There are a few teams that didn't put all their eggs in that southern Sosnovka basket. Unnamed, Silent Killers, and Ace Esports need to come off of that northwestern position, and then G6 and VN1 off to the far east. You saw Lights Out. I had mentioned that they took the boat around the far western edge of Sosnovka, making landfall on the southern shores. Well, they did leave 1 member behind. You saw him over near the lighthouse where the members of AreYouScared had previously been positioned, and it's none other than Seagut. You can see him, that lone light blue number 12 on your screen that's actually taking some shots right now at the Silent Killers.
Just going to try and carry that on for now, but it's still about the bridge choke right now for 4 Hokage. Keeping an eye on Silent Killers who are starting to come across that bridge or enter into the area. They've disembarked from their vehicles. They're going to do the rest on foot. 4 Hokage haven't shown themselves until Hashirama just went through a little bit of a pivot around the vehicles. So you are going to be aware that there's another squad here looking to play spoiler to their what should be clean avenue of approach.
Silent Killer stopping off was the smart play to make, whether it was the exploded Dacia on the right side of the bridge that they encountered, or whether they're just being diligent in making this cross, knowing full well that there certainly might be a bridge camper on the southern end. They're playing it exactly how they need to. If they continue to look onwards, they will likely spot out the heads of the members of 4 Hokage, and then they ultimately have to make the decision, do we fight this or do we try to jump off the bridge and swim, much like the members of Ace Esports. Well, Pro DJ's still alive, Dilly's still alive. Keep in mind, these are the only members still alive for this squad. You saw them lose 2 early on in that engagement with Misfits, but they walked away with the kills, and that's at least more than the Misfits can say in this in this instance. But I'm still concerned about this bridge. How are Silent Killers going to play this? And if they continue to barge on, are for Hokage going to be able to capitalize on it, Trid?
They might not be able to. I think what Silent Killers are waiting for is that next circle to pop and potentially force a rotation for Hokage, so they'll go into the next phase late, just to avoid the conflict that the position is being held up. Looking on the map now, AreYouScared are coming around on the flank of Hokage and may draw their attention. Silent Killers are slowly moving up as they're actually mounting back into the vehicle now, I believe. So they might be looking to go in early, depending on where this next rotation is, and it forces way down to the southeast, the Squire, and it's going to be forcing them to move quite early on into this next one.
And Method is watching the stream right now, and they are saying, if only we had gone to our normal loot location. So Novka proper going to be the landscape for the final moments of this game phases, at least the late game phases, will be taking us to this area, and a lot of teams have to make rotations. Spacestation Gaming, they're going to be sitting happy on the hillside on the western side of this phase. They're going to be able to soak up a lot of information here, Trid, but are they going to be able to get the pressure out? Are they going to be able to get the kills? Because a lot of teams are going to be coming in off of that flank.
Someone who just lost a lot of pressure was Ace Esports. One of their members actually died in the blue zone as they were swimming across, so it's just Dilly alive now, unfortunately. Key will get knocked from the car 98. All those people just, wait, Silent Killers all just simultaneously jumped off into the water. They're going to go around, they're in the vehicle actually, and they got themselves down.
Yeah, they jumped the vehicle over the ramp, and into the water they go. Interesting.
Whoa, you just saw someone from Hokage drop down onto their playing field. Toberama, it's in a lot of difficulty right now. He's isolated, he's calling in for reinforcements, and now Silent Killers, they're in a position of power for this low member of Hokage. Grenades are coming in. That's a frag right there by the side. No, it's a smoke grenade coming in. Will provide some cover as Toberama now needs to retreat. He's got a vehicle to jump into to gas away. He's taking a bit of damage for now. Here comes the spray down from Chris. It's all gone wrong for Toberama. How's he going to find himself being taken down by Silent Killers? There's that one tap just to shut it all. He sits down on his knees, and Hokage are now fighting with Tempo, who have single-handedly just dismantled them. Hokage completely wiped, and they held all the cards on this choke.
Yeah, there's only one thing you can really say, and that's mistakes were made. It really fell apart as soon as that player from Hokage fell down, and it kind of threw that team in a bit of a chaotic mess with other teams pushing up on their backside. Tempo Storm certainly making quick work of Hokage here in this game, but other teams are starting to fight here in Sosnovka. It's Team Anarchy facing off against the likes of AreYouScared, and well, they also have to worry about Nova that has now entered. They've left that Nova area, and they're going to be taking casualties as well. Killer,
go for the flush, go for the flush. You're going to end up dying here anyway. You've got to go for the points. You're not going to be able to make the recovery. There were 4 members of Nova coming at you. Get the points, man. Just get the flush. You had the perfect amount of time. And here comes AreYouScared. Going to third party this engagement and clean out the entirety of Nova. Oh, no. Just going to be dismantled. AreYouScared being gifted 4 kills. Right by Team Anarchy.
It has been such a tough day for some of our top teams on the leaderboards. Nova going out this early is another strange thing. Keep that in line with the whole Misfits finish of this game. But wild days certainly ahead of us here in the final week of the semifinals for North America. Tempo Storm, though, continues to pick up the kills. They're able to spot out the members of Unnamed who have taken at least up shelter on the compound. The yellows atop this building. One of the power positions, at least on this, the counter position certainly being held by Tempo. The lines of sight paying off beautifully for them, but Spec now taking some damage. If you can see them, they can likely see you, and he's going to be riding on that defilade to try to avoid this and get an unknown advantage onto his aggressors.
As we get gunfire just being sent out all across this military island now. We've got 10 squads remaining as we're about to enter into our 5th phase of this map. And Silent Killers holding down a couple of buildings on the edge right now. We'll have to move more central when the next phase pops, but here's Spacestation Gaming up on the high ground. They know exactly where they are, and they're keeping them oppressed in that particular location. Next circle has popped. They're going to be forced into a further south position. Spacestation Gaming are perfect to gatekeep this one as they're looking to get a few flushes on their downs.
2 players from Tempo Storm just got knocked to the blue, and they were flushed out of the game by the members of Unnamed from that hill position that we just saw them at. Chica and Lost continue to bleed out. Spec, the only member of this squad still on their feet and able to do something here in this engagement. And Unnamed, they know that they have capitalized on this and they can push onto it. as aggressively as possible. Lost continuing to just try to block the lines of sight, hide behind the tree,
G6.
hopeful for a res.
G6 just got into the center of the circle on a vehicle there, just able to get themselves in a prime location. Now, Spacestation Gaming and AreYouScared, they ingress further into the new zone. They may run into some difficulty now, whereas in the past, they were uncontested at this stage.
Interesting landscape for the mid-game battles that we're about to see here. The airfield going to be somewhat implicated on the southern side of phase number 5. But the shots continue to come out. Spacestation Gaming holds a tight grip, at least in the gatekeeping position that they found themselves, looking down on the Silent Killers, trying to back up and get the res, but Spec going to be spotted out. Unnamed continues to spell disaster for the Storm here, and they extinguish Tempo Storm entirely in 10th position in game number 3 of the day.
Cream mounted up, but they've left Kira behind. That vehicle's going straight for the circle, try and get into a prime position. You're leaving Kira to have a fight here with Memo, potentially Bill as well. They're in the area. Memo's buying his time, though. He's able to hold it down. Chedo and the rest of Cream keeping their heads down for now as well.
Lights Out is so spread up right now. You might have said, is Memo the remaining member of Lights Out? Well, no. He certainly has Outsider 9K still in the far eastern side of the zone, but Space Station Gaming holds on to this high hillside position. It's going to be on the northern side of this phase, and they are safe and secure, but they will be feeling at least a little bit of pressure coming off of the northern flank, where Silent Killers are trying to recover off of the damage that was being inflicted upon them by the exact same squad of SSG.
Carnage able to rain the fire down onto Munoz. He's trying to get away. He nearly does as well, but unfortunately the shots land true through the smoke just to get that flush off the back end of it. Cream Esports losing one of their members. Now down to a 3-man position. Counterfire coming in. Just will lock them behind the rock.
Silent Killers, they hear this engagement. They think that they might be able to catch Space Station Gaming off guard, or a little bit focused towards the southern direction as Mitz, Felix, and Chris start to at least spread out and silently and slowly push up towards the position where they think that Space Station Gaming is. But as you can see, Sixless on the tree, he's looking up towards the north. He is being careful, but the flank is coming out. Chris has the drop onto the Space Station Gaming squad. It just all comes down to whether or not he can hit his shots and feel the support from his northern members.
Well, Felix not going to have a good time there. Sprayed down by Angry, so Chris just going to be that solo member going, but he's got a nice angle here on Space Station. Going to spray through the grass. Not getting any flushes, but a return fire comes in from Angry. Now the knock onto Chris will make sure they stay alive a little bit longer. No one's been flushed out for Space Station, but here's the fire from across the way. Mitz in the position. He's got a grenade. Yeets it in. Is it going to be true on Space Station Gaming? Blows up the vehicle or just damages them. Will separate them further out, but it's falling too short to do anything. Carnage under so much pressure right now will drop down. The choice was not there. Space Station Gaming denied the opportunity to remain a full-strength squad as Mighty is still laying down fire on this hill.
And they have to move off this hill. Space Station Gaming has to try to bounce off of this, maybe cut their losses, say we're not going to be able to stick the reses. It's going to take at least too much of our time out of our rotation, which down this wide open hill with AreYouScared looking right up at you is not going to be an easy task whatsoever. Mighty continues to spray down with the M416 up onto Sixless, Juicy, and Angry, trying to find the connections, and well, certainly he will be soon because the blue zone is now starting to restrict on this far shift that we had over towards the northeast off of our previous phase number 5. But Mighty's not letting up. He's got Space Station Gaming in his grasp, and he wants to walk away with the kill points.
They're going to mount up into the vehicles that were unable to be blown up by Silent Killers. Hopefully get themselves into the circle and avoid the blue. The spray is still coming in from Mighty, but not going to land true for now. They are going to crash onto that building, so Mighty's probably regressing at Sixless. How have you managed that, my son? Oof. You just knocked yourself with the vehicle. Juicy now being sprayed down. Angry, the last one remaining to deal with Mitz. This is a solo player. Angry should be able to take this fight. He's one of the best fraggers we've got at the moment. Going to pop the smoke, though, and play it safe. Go for the res instead. He's just got to listen out and make sure Mitz doesn't go aggressive when he sees this and realizes what's happening.
Good attempt right here from Space Station Gaming to at least keep 2 of their members up. I think getting to Sixless at this stage in the game might be a deadly task.
I think it's still possible.
Well, yeah, he's gonna be crawling. At
least no, wait. Look where Mitz is going now. He might get the angle on Sixless to deny this altogether, as Sixless is traversing across. The smoke's coming out from both res members. Angry and his teammate might be able to get away with this one, but no, Sixless has been flushed out there by SK, unfortunately. You see all these teams in the distance getting ready to collapse even further. That circle will force Space Station Gaming further in, as well as the remainder of Silent Killers. So they are playing on the edge right now. Mitz playing Gatekeeper with 2 members of Space Station.
6 teams remaining, 13 players alive as we approach the 25-minute mark of game number 3 of the final week of semifinal play for North America. Mitt's going to be pushed up upon Juicy, able to fully recover off of that. He and Angry are now a force to be reckoned with, even with being 2 members alive. Mitt's going to be spotted out, trying to get the shots around the right side of the compound. Not going to be able to do so, and takes a significant amount of damage in turn, and ultimately will be dropped out of the game. Space Station Gaming picks up another kill to their name.
They have a little bit of time to breathe and recover. The next phase will pop, and hopefully it moves towards them and puts them in a better position. They started to recover from some bad losses, but they're going to be going, but it's the worst possible outcome. It's gone all the way across the way. Kira and the rest of AreYouScared are implicated in that next circle, so they have to play defensively and attack the teams that are trying to assault their favorable position.
Our teams down to the south in the airfield will have to cross wide open areas to get to whatever type of cover they can. There are the oil barrels, well, that two of the members of G6 are holding on to. Smoke's now coming out on top of Yayo's person to try to protect him from being flushed out of the game, but AreYouScared continues to be a force here in this lobby, spraying down on top of the members of Cream Esports, trying to find the connections onto Karma, as Cheto continues to put out some pressure as well. But Spacestation Gaming is now feeling the hurt. They've got to make the rotation from the far southwestern edge of phase number 6, and well, resistance is what they are faced up against. Outsider 9K from Lights Out, as well as the members of G6 now advance the position with that opportunity.
Spraying through the smoke as well. Don't quite get the knock onto G6 members. Still a bit of damage. You see Jakob aware as Outsider 9K now fighting against the blue to get into this next circle. Grenade being popped. May have got the third person on them. It's on top of Yayo and Yamon, I believe. They might be walking straight into this grenade. It's going to pop. Doesn't deal enough damage, but the flush will still come through. Alashi just let that happen. He didn't even try and pressure Jay to stop that from going on. Charges up the molly as well. He might poke out now. Gets it right on top, I believe, of one of the members of Cream Esports, or G6, sorry. Does force a reposition. Now with the alternative angle, likes to spray down fire, but this is what Lushy needs to do in the first place. Apply pressure and stop this angle from being abused.
Mighty, the only member of AreYouScared still on their feet, trying to avoid the frag grenades, now being dumped on his location. Spots out a Lushy, tries to spray him down around the left side of the wall. Finds the connections, ultimately though will be flushed out of the game. A Lushy G6 take out the members of AreYouScared in 4th position. And now 3 teams remaining. Cream Esports to the north, Angry from Spacestation Gaming off to the west, and G6 down to the south.
So if you're one of these other teams, you might have to work on the basis you're going up against a 4-man squad. I don't think you assume that you have that independent player still alive. So both of these teams are going to be scared to actually go on the aggression, I imagine, unless they have definitive confirmation of what's going on. The circle will move closer in. You see Angry, that solo player, off in the distance, just lying down in the grass for now. Mainly this is going to come down to G6 going up against Cream Esports. It's about whether Angry can get in at the right time to capitalize. Jakob actually going down to the blue there as well. So it's now a 2v3v1. Cream Esports in a good position to take this away, but we've seen how teams can throw away advantages. Spacestation Gaming did so on Miramar as well.
If Cream walks away with the chicken dinner here in game number 3, that will be their 2nd win of the day. They won Vikendi to start off the day, and will certainly are looking for the repeat here and holding on to a firing line position on the northern side of this circle, utilizing that wall, that barricade that separates Snoka proper, the entirety of that military base from the outside. So Lushy going to be spotted out. G6 getting sprayed down as Karma flushes him out of the game, but still going to have Hamon. 1 player left from G6 and 1 player left from Spacestation Gaming. This is Cream's game to lose, but Trid, we've seen teams with numbers lose out to solo players before. If you missed out on that, maybe go check the VODs from last week, because that was a pretty crazy game.
I don't understand what the attempt there was from Alashi. He just ran and jumped over the wall without the information and got sprayed down by 3.
As you say, he yeeted himself over that wall.
Yeah, he just yeeted himself over the wall and it just left into a rain of bullets. There's the spray down from Karma. It's now 3v1. Cream Esports in the best possible position to walk away with the first place finish. They just need to hunt down Yamon and get the kill onto him. If it comes down to a med battle, looking at Karma, he's got 2 first aid kits. He should be fine for a little bit as well. Yamon's not healing up right now. I don't know if he has the supplies to be able to go for a med battle, so he actually has to take the fight against these 3 members of Cream Esports, and a 1v3 never really works out that well.
Hamon able to get at least some meds up, working off of 75 HP as the blue zone works its way in off of his backside. Phase number 8 in full effect, though, so the blue zone damage.
Oh, he's got plenty of meds.
He's got plenty of meds.
Has he got the cover? That's the real question.
He's waiting for someone to push in off the blue. Not going to be happening at this stage in the game. He quickly realizes that, and now into the corner he goes to possibly wait for this next circle collapse. And now he's essentially closed off from this. He's not going to be able to disengage without taking a lot of damage trying to get out of the compound, and after that point in time, only 1 shot essentially is needed from Cream Esports. They know now, by a matter of deduction, where the remaining player left on the map is, and well, Hamon's days are numbered. He's dipping into the blue zone, which is
going
collapsing.
For the med battle. Right, so if you're Cream Esports, you don't have the meds right now, you need to start passing. Oh, he mistimed it.
Yep.
If you're Cream Esports, you need to pull your meds into 1 person to just outlast. Only one of you needs to outlast it. Unfortunately, mistiming there by Yamon, unable to figure out when he needs to start that meds. He was more concerned about someone rushing in on him. Left it a little bit too late. Ended up, of course, paying the iron price.
Cream Esports, though, with another huge first place finish for them. I believe that's 9 kills that they're going to be walking away with in addition to the 30 points for placement. So again, Trid, this is a team, Cream Esports, that we haven't seen dominate the matches, I guess, on a day like this. And you'd love to see it. Maybe they're trying to make those final few strides in the last week, and it's certainly the time to do so.
Well, yeah, absolutely. This is the time to definitely pull it out and get yourself a top 16 finish so you can go to our regional finals, keep your competition dreams alive. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring you our final map of the night. It's Erangel, round 2.
welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Club Open Semifinals for the North American region. My name's Esquire, joined here by Trid. We've seen 3 of the games played out so far today, and we're going back for that double serving of Erangel, and we've had a lot of shakeups, Trid. It's been a very interesting set of matches so far on the day.
Yeah, Cream Esports coming around with 2 map wins. They're not a team you usually associate with victory when it comes down to individual maps. They were able to get themselves into the top 24, so it's no small feat, but it's not one of the names you throw around when you talk about these teams that are getting these first place finishes. You're always thinking of the likes of Misfits, Spacestation, Nova, potentially even Tempo at times, although they have been meandering around since we got to the group stage. Let's have a look at some highlights from that previous map just to contextualize what we're talking about here.
Certainly there were some highlights. This is one that comes into mind. Anarchy trying to wipe out Nova, not able to do so. But then quickly thereafter, AreYouScared comes in while Nova's trying to recover, and will they take control of the situation and wipe Nova out in 12th position? Again, something that we're not used to seeing from that squad.
And then this is Angry also taking the fight with Mitz right now from the Silent Killers. An easy spray down, easy secure. This is unfortunate. Jay, he's kind of on target here, but he's just missing out on getting these grenade kills. And I think this is really bad from Alushy. He knows Jay is holding this angle. He's seen the grenade go past. He's seen the bullets as well. But he doesn't pressure it whatsoever. He just allows Jay to get free damage off on his team. I really think that was a bit of a misplay by Alushy.
Essentially, yeah, exactly right. And in the final moments of the game, Hamon, he tried to do a med battle. Well, it didn't play off. Got the first aid off a little bit too late, and Cream Esports walked away with the chicken dinner in game number 3. That's points on points on points for a team that absolutely needs points going into our final game of the day. I mean,
I was going to say, let's pull them up.
Let's pull them up. Let's see these
Jamie,
scores.
pull it up. Let's see, have a look at what's going on here. So, where are they? Where are they right now? They are not in the bottom 24, the 17 to 24 area. They pushed themselves up into the top 16. They just need to maintain this over the next 2 days, and they're going to be looking good. Dare we say top 8 right now? Let's go up one more. This is the story we want to follow. Cream Esports NA at 174 points. They've been doing fantastically today. Got themselves into 5th place for now. Now, bear in mind, there are a bunch of teams who aren't playing. They don't have the same amount of matches, but if you can get yourself into the top 8 with only 1 day's worth of games left to play for you, it's boding very well that you're going to end up in that top 16. And I think that's what we're currently using to explain some of the odd performances of some of our top teams. We think they're trying to go for experimentation because at this point in the competition, unlike the group finals to semifinals, groups to semifinals jump, the semifinals to finals jump doesn't really care for your seeding. So as long as you're in the top 16, it doesn't matter how you do it.
Yeah, I think either Misfits, they're trying something new, or they're trying to just prevent Polar Ace Esports from trying to get into those top 16 positions.
That's just cruel, though. Why would they do that?
It's cruel, but here in PUBG competitive play, we have seen it happen time and time again. That's where the name The Hot Drop comes from. So let's take it on into game number 4, the final game of the evening for the final week of the semifinals for North America.
Fairly central flight path. It is leaning further north as it's going up towards the northwest, and it's going to be flying out over the Bay of Georgopol to conclude things. Now, I want to see a couple of changes. I want to see where Misfits want to land this time. Now, typically we see them go to Sosnovka military base, and it was costly that they didn't go there in the last Erangel map, so we ended up with a milli circle. Need to see if they're going to commit to this same path, but Nova, as always, making their way to Novo. It's their consistent land. Now that we probably will have a more central circle, we'll see Space Station go over to Yasnaya as well. Unnamed, as expected, will drop on Pachinki. Tempo, at the moment, look like they're going to follow suit, but there's no guarantee that they will.
Yes, exactly right. Nova, no surprises where they're going. I don't see the Misfits hopping out of the plane just yet, Trid, which, you know, could be telling us another shift is coming.
They're not
for
going
the squad.
to military.
They're definitely not going to military, but they're also not going to
they're going to go
Gatka area.
I think, based on where they're going right now, they're going to hit up South George.
Yeah, that's quite possible. I mean, again,
another hot area, though.
Exactly, and I think they're just trying to throw a wrench in the plans for some of these other
they're
teams.
going further south now, but it's good for them. The circles landed on top of them. Is this the day where we see a little... This is the map where we get some of that Misfits magic.
Certainly. We need... well, we don't personally need it, but the Misfits need some of that magic. But yeah, certainly at least a little bit of conflict already popping off here in Pachinki. You can see Tempo Storm and Unnamed both not wanting to pull off of that, both trying to assert their own dominance on the other and say, we are the kings of the city. How dare you try to contest our reign here? And Tempo Storm in a bit of a different position, Trid, than you pointed out here in game number 3. They've at least continued to encircle the members of Unnamed, but on the different side of town, the northwestern side, is where they're going to be maneuvering, at least for the Storm.
And Bill's the outlier of the pack here. He's the one that's straying far away from the pack right now just to get some more loot by himself, but he can also try and get some information as well, be a bit of a scout away from the main resources that need to be protected, which is the majority of your squad, really. So hopefully Bill will get a bit of information to feed over and hopefully knock it down in a range where it's unable for the Unnamed to help him.
I like what Cream is doing, where we saw them drop on the map last game and this game.
Power.
They went to the Mill to Power area, and you might be thinking, Mill to Power, there's another team, at least in these 24 teams, that we consistently see go there, and that's Wildcard Gaming. They are not in this lobby here tonight, and so that's good awareness by Cream to at least pick that off and find a wide open, uncontested area on the map. But Unnamed, here in Pochinki, they're getting dangerously close to the members of Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm not going to be holding on to the outside edges of Pochinki any further. They're going to be pushing in now, and they want blood, Trid. They didn't exactly get it in game number 3, but this time it could be their opportunity.
This gunfire is going to be traded to kick things off. Smoke is obscuring the vision of Sin, so he's not going to be very useful in this next fight unless he repositions. Lost missing out on that rooftop, so going to have to cancel out of whatever that plan was originally. Chica off to the side, may get some vision of Bill, but not going to maintain it as there's a lot of mobility still happening with these teams.
It's unfortunate that you saw the Tempo Storm player fall from that elevated vantage, and that could have been a power position for Tempo Storm right there to spot out, not only get the information, but possibly even some damage, knocks, or flushes onto the members of Unnamed. You might see Chica or Nico try to reposition, get back up on top of the roofs, because again, it is a power type position here inside of the city. Nico's got the micro Uzi prepped and ready, the favorited weapon of any close quarter engagements here in PUBG Mobile. And he's going to be pushing aggressively. Got the level 2 helmet, level 1 vest, so albeit he is going to be protected in that regard, but not as well as he would have hoped for. Certainly the level 2 and level 3 vest are much desired in this situation. But Tempo's, they're swarming. They've got Unnamed completely split up, and this might be their opportunity here, Trid.
Actually, Tempo ran up the stairs and went down. They're just spraying, and they know exactly where they are. Sin's holding the angle. Will pop round. There's the AK, and there's too many members of Tempo for him to deal with. Surely, three are coming in. The reinforcements are rushing into the house to try and assist him. How has Sin not gone down yet? With 1 HP, he's just getting himself out there as fast as possible. He tags in Miski, who then goes to deal with it. Nico will get the knock onto him. Raven's also dealt with Spec. This is disastrous for Tempo. He's going to get a flush off there. Nico actually going to get a knock as well. Might be able to swing this back around, but Nico's the last remaining member.
Oh,
Tempo
no.
Storm have just been wiped out in 16th place. Can you please stop challenging the Unnamed at Pochinki? It never works out well.
Bill, he's happy right now. For some reason, I just am drawn to Bill. I don't know if it's because he has the most generic name of any of any player in these games. Everyone talks about having superhero names in esports. Well, he's just Bill here, and that's all he needs, because Unnamed come up victorious inside of Pochinki and take out a team that still, Trid, has to do a lot here on the leaderboards. They're not going to be comfortable, especially with more games to be played by teams that aren't showing up here tonight. Cream Esports, though, off of that rotation, off of that far Milta Power location, will be making their way in westward, a little bit north of where Milta rather is.
So, Tempo just went out with 1 point. They did get the lone flush. But of course, they went out with zero placement points for being 16th, but they only got 1 kill. So that's 1 point walking away with Tempo Storm. Like, you're supposed to be a top team. That's not the performance you want here on your last map. Considering now you only have 4 maps remaining, you're giving away so much of your fate, or the control of your destiny, to other groups and other teams. Because if you don't put the work in, I believe Tempo are in Group A. So they will play tomorrow. If you don't have a good performance tomorrow, Tempo, there's a good chance you end up falling outside of that top 16.
And that would be devastating. Tempo Storm is a squad in PUBG Mobile that we've seen have good performances and that no one would expect to be even talked about in terms of being relegated or kicked out as we enter into the regional finals in a few weeks. But it's certainly a real concern that this team has to consider coming into at least this game, or well, no longer this game, but essentially 4 more games that they play out here in the semifinals. Lights Out, another team that at least people are rooting for. You've seen them with some consistent finishes and some non-consistent finishes. I believe last game they went out in around 5th position with 0 kills to their name. And that's kind of a shift off of the Lights Out squad that we've seen. A lot of very interesting, something's in the air. I don't know what's going on, Trid. Maybe it's the summer months upon us, but something is afoot here with some of our top teams in this lobby.
Well, Misfits, they're playing around the hospital area. Going to give a brief spray over to members of 4 Hokage. Tsukasa will dodge out the fire for now, relatively unaffected by that one, just a little bit rattled, and will seek for cover. Misfits hopefully to have a better performance this time around. Nova They're over still in Novo. We'll start transitioning. They're tanking the blue. Karma has just been hit by a vehicle, so God knows what's happening to Cream Esports right now. But G6, Yayo, and the boys heading further into that circle to try and find a favorable position. They've just passed by the hotbed that was Pachinki. There's a lot of teams that are being mobile right now.
15 teams remaining. We just saw Tempo Storm, our first team to go out, but 58 players remain here in this game as the blue zone starts to at least continue that approach towards the edges of phase number 1. That phase 2 shift will be coming in very shortly, and we're starting to see more and more rotations if they haven't already made it inside of phase number 1. Off to the far northeast, VN1, Spacestation Gaming, then down to the southeast, Nova, coming off of that Sosnovka Island drop. But G6 has now positioned themselves across the fields of Pachinki in those 2 notorious barns that look over towards the west, towards where Unnamed is currently holding. Lights out, though, lighting up the kill feed on top of Method.
Ooh, Method, not what you want to be doing right away. They're being challenged just over to the southwest of Ruins. Method will return it back round with the double knock onto Lucifer and outside of 9K. Memo spraying through the door right now. Pride will get the knock onto Lucifer and then onto Memo as well. Not looking good for Lights Out. Outside of 9K still in the game, which means Sega going to have to be the saving grace. Footsteps have been heard from Pride, so we did cancel out that resurrection. But he knows exactly the avenue of attack for Sega. He's still trying to find a way in now. If he knows the HP of Pride, he may go in, but Clay is looming. He's going on the flank right now. He's going to catch him off guard, and there's the spray down. Good night, Lights Out.
Lights out indeed. Method picks up 4 kills and are at least able to keep up all members alive. No one was flushed out there. Everfury and Steamy still bleeding out, but they will be rezzed by Pride and Clay right now. So a huge come up for Method, who is in desperate need of points here, especially in the final game of the day. Well, that's certainly something exciting, especially if you're one of the Method fans out there in the chat. So other teams.
So that's Tempo Storm and Lights Out going out in 16th and 15th place. These are teams that should not be falling this early.
No, absolutely not, especially Tempo Storm, right? Lights Out, I mean, they're at least a little bit comfortable towards the top of those 16 teams that'll be moving on, but Tempo Storm is significant here. G6, though, they're moving around. They're trying to at least advance their own position. Munoz from Cream Esports has been spotted out. You can see he's bleeding out right now off the previous engagement and will be flushed out of the game. Cream trying to go for that three-peat. Back-to-back chicken dinners
so hot
here
right
Erangel.
now.
Yeah, not looking so hot whatsoever. G6 swarms onto them, and Phase 2 has popped, and a shift down to the southern end. Phase 1 is where we're going to be going. Our teams up to the far north have to continue on those treks. AreYouScared off of that Zarky North Georgia Bowl spot. BN1 continuing off of that far eastern Yasnaya loot drop. And now Nova enters into the southern region.
Misfits still playing center right now. This is what we expect to see from them. They're just exerting control onto for Hokage, potentially onto Silent Killers as well, should they venture further to the west and enter their domain or their sphere of influence. But it's actually Ace Esports taking some engagements with Team Anarchy, I believe, as everyone's trying to get a more central position around Gatka.
Fairly centered around that swamp area just north of Corey, that observatory as well, which creates unique situations for these teams to have to fight around. Should we continue to center around those in our mid-game phases before Hokage will be trying to at least spot out members of Team Anarchy, who is fighting with the members of version 2 White, I believe, taking a lot of casualties in the process. James, the only member alive, sprays down Mega from the window, will be taking him down, secures the flush as well. Very good play, but bad player. The rest of version 2 White tries to spot him out. Bad player going to be knocked as well. This is version 2 White getting decimated through, but they ultimately are able to find out Team Anarchy and take them out of the game in 14th place.
All right, so slow squad wipe steadily coming in here. Version 2 White able to stay in the game a little bit longer. You can see Ace Esports in the distance. They were definitely third-partying that fight. There were too many bullet streams coming in there for that to be a straight squad v squad engagement. So they are aware that someone's lingering around here, having spent a lot of resources. You can see the bullet fire coming in right now on Bad Player. He needs to get his health back up before he even thinks about peeking that one, because there's a lot of guns trained in that location. And even for Hokage, they're keeping an eye on where Ace Esports is. This is a bit of a standoff.
Yeah, a bit of a triangular engagement here between these three squads. The Gatka area has been a hotbed for destruction. You saw Misfits engaged with Ace Esports in game number 3 in Gatka, and well, Ace has returned. A nice crate dropping right next to version 2 White. They are strongly going to at least consider going to get this, and it drops behind cover too. That's a huge care package for version 2 White, especially coming off of the heels of that engagement where they did lose players and certainly lost some of their armor in the process.
So Miramar now keeping an eye on it. Crate's just dropped right on top of version 2 White. That might be able to salvage them a little bit. going to be opening up. The M249, nice little bit of level 3 gear and an adrenaline syringe as well. Not too bad for Mr. Woz, who's already been quite lethal even without those items.
That level 3 kit is the prized possession of any crate. And then it all depends on what kind of guns you like to play off of or your squad. But certainly for Hokage continues on. They have been spotted out. They revealed their position, taking some of those shots. And Polar Ace Esports is just keeping them at bay, letting them know, hey, we are aware and we will be taking you down should you exit out of these yellow buildings to the west of where Gadka is. But next phase pops. Phase number 3 in full effect. A few rotations have to come out, but not many. Only one team in particular has to make movement, and that is Nova, continuing on that northern rotation from the south.
Having a very leisurely game this time on the second attempt of Erangel. Not in no rush to do anything, it appears. Having just only made their way over from Novo to get anywhere near the play zone, will come into the circle from the southwest. The only people who can really challenge them right now are the Unnamed and Silent Killers. I think Unnamed more likely to be able to win that one out. They're split up. They've got multiple vehicles. They've got a good amount of resources under their belts as well. I imagine Nova should be able to find and carve out a nice bit of territory in this new phase.
Certainly, that's what they're looking to do here, but as they continue on through the circle, it becomes more and more crowded. We've only seen 3 teams get dropped out here in the early stages of the final game of the night on Erangel, and, well, the pressure is certainly going to be felt by some of these teams as we continue on with these shrinks. The God Compound going to be taken up by Unnamed. You did see Nova positioning off to the western side of that, trying to scout it out and make sure that no enemy threat lies within, but they will be finding that enemy threat. Raven completely exposed on the roof, going to be spotted out by Edwin's Mini 14, able to get the knock and the flush, leaving now Unnamed with 2 members remaining.
What stands out to me most about that one, Esquire, is you saw as they waited for the right time. It wasn't 1, it wasn't 2, it was 3 members of Nova, all with guns trained. They're probably in the comms right now going, you got it? Yep, you got it? Yep, sweet. Okay, open fire. You see 3 trails of bullets go in, couple of taps from each of them. Does the job. Beautifully played.
Team shooting, it's a, it's at least a tactic that has long been held in high regard in these FPS genres, and Nova capitalizing on it beautifully right now, applying a lot of pressure to Unnamed, and they're going to be pulling off entirely from this. They picked up what they needed to, and now disengage, try to get in a better spot inside of phase number 3. As the blue zone continues to work its way in, we're just shy of that 15-minute mark, essentially the halfway point of these Erangel matches, and again, still only 3 teams dropped out. But a massive amount of players, 18 to be exact, have been eliminated so far.
Sin just sticking around maybe a little bit too long here. Nova are looking like they're on the approach right now. They've actually disembarked on the vehicles over on the hills. Sim probably waiting to see what was going to happen before he goes and regroups with the rest of his team. A team we haven't checked in a while, though, Spacestation Gaming. They're occupying some territory to the southeast of the circle on the hills, so they would be able to see over the battlefield a little bit better. Keeping an eye out from all angles. They don't know where they're going to get assaulted from.
Certainly don't, but they need to be aware of what lies ahead of them. Just to the north, the quarry has been occupied by multiple different teams, not just the cliffs of the quarry, but also the inner areas of that quarry position. But Space Station, they're not really too worried about it. They don't have to be down there on the south. And another team that doesn't really have to worry about much, at least until the next circle shrink, is AreYouScared. Mighty and the rest of the crew having a pretty solid day so far, at least as far as consistency takes us. And they're trying to at least continue on that path here in this game. But over here in this Gatka area, that triangular fight that we talked about just a few minutes ago continues to at least pose itself as a threat for these 3 teams. And the next shift has come out all the way up to the northeast is where we're going to be going. These teams that we were just looking at are going to be safe inside of the circle, at least as far as movement goes, but other teams are going to be bombing up here quickly. Expect to see fast rotations and caravans already starting up, especially from Nova down to the south. Beowulf, Edwin, Kato, and the rest of the crew, they quickly realize they got to get off of that far southwestern edge trade. They got to get into a prime position as fast as possible before it is too late.
That's exactly what Beowulf's trying to do, get into that central position. He's got Edwin, Cotto, they're all in separate vehicles, all going one by one in a convoy. They are going to clash with Space Station Gaming, who are on a similar path coming in. You see them over there to the right now. Beowulf's got wind of it, jumps out the vehicle early, potentially to provide suppressive or supportive fire to his team, who are now crashing in to make a fortress perfectly in line with where Space Station Gaming are. They're setting up their own defenses, and Space Station Gaming do the exact same thing in kind as well. They've carved out their own lines of battle in this field. They need to be concerned about where the other fire is going to come from. They're not the only people who came to party in the cornfields.
2 of our top teams here in this tournament, essentially playing off the exact same strategy, the mobile cover, giving them exactly what they need to possibly take that fight. But Misfits are going to be under fire, so is VN1 as they pick up that nice crate. Another M249 being dropped onto the map along with the level 3 kit, but Nova bombs in closer to Gatka just off of that southeastern region and pick up a compound. A great pickup for the members of Nova. Misfits, though, lighten up the kill feed. Uneven doesn't go out early this game. He spots out the members of Silent Killers, and now Steamy and his crew are spraying him down.
Steamy trying to find that knock and the flush onto Chris, who's still dancing around. Zenith being the one to drop him to his knees. I believe that not knocked out the squad yet, because we've still got 13 teams remaining. Here comes AreYouScared to make the rotation in. Everfury's got a good line of sight on Misfits, just wants to try and capitalize on it. The cover's being taken. He's aiming even further in the distance from that other Misfits member who's looking to rotate in with the rest of the squad. It's a nice knockdown there for Alashi, playing simple. He's found Bill. Looking for Sin as well. Here comes the crossfire as well. Sin turns it back around onto him after getting down 2 as well. This is not looking good for G6. Jakob's coming in for the return. Going for the flush onto Bill. Now he knows where Sin is. He's trying to get something off the back end of this one. Goes for the spray down. Yamon drops as well. Sin is a one-man army right now, and he wants to find the 4-piece. But his reign of terror is eventually ended. The golden number for him was free.
G6 literally had to breathe in Sin's direction to kill him. He had less than 1 HP. A huge effort coming out from Unnamed right there, but unfortunately 1 versus the squad of G6 was not enough, as Misfits now find themselves under fire once again. Method from the northern side of the circle, spot out Uneven, and the rest of the crew riding onto this hillside. And this is an interesting circle. The Gatka circle has been fully implicated. It's essentially centered right up on top of Gatka, where Ace Esports has been holding. But now Silent Killers, they're rolling in. 2 members left alive for this squad, trying to get a position, and it's right up on top of the members of VN1.
Lucas. The rest of the boys throwing some utility, also throwing some grenades out there as well. You can hear the bounce coming in by Felix. He's behind the hay bale, he should be fine, but ran. Found the golden arm, and it's immediately followed up by a flush. Just so many grenades in there. Gonna immediately remove him from the map, and VN1, they made that look effortless.
They did. I mean, these pro players can make things look so easy sometimes. And then when you try to put it into practice as just a pub player like ourselves, well, it's a little bit more difficult. Mraz still trying to worry about how to work his way in off of this. And this might be the saving grace. VN1 has to worry about AreYouScared in that elevated position on the hillside just to the south of where they're currently positioned, but the circle pops again. North of Gatka is where we continue to go in phase number 5. Ace Esports are going to be inside of the Gatka compound, holding on to the angles down to the south, where many a team could be approaching from. For Hokage, still safe and sound inside of the yellow buildings, now on the edge of the zone. But Misfits, they got to move a few meters down to the south, and they're trying to just apply some pressure before doing so.
Misfits. Just going to say, like I said, apply some pressure, look for the rotation. They are very close to the new circle, but the rotation is still dangerous. More people that need to be worried about it, though. AreYouScared? G6, they're the ones furthest away right now. Edwin, the rest of Nova, as well as Cream, have an avenue to get into this one. Ace Esports in a good position to deflect all the attackers. Raz, now entering that danger zone, will have to move, or he'll just be killed by the blue. He's going to leave his cover. He's just hoping no one is looking at him. Now, his crawl pace is slightly slower than the blue, so he is tanking. They've not spotted him yet as Van going to take a few shots over at AreYouScared, who've dropped down there onto the low ground. And Ran's just playing around the terrain right now.
VN1 is completely distracted right now. They were taking fire from Spacestation Gaming, and now they have diverted their offensive attention down towards the members of AreYouScared. TJ Tattoo going to be popped out. Cal dropped out of the game as well, but VN1 continues to take fire from Spacestation Gaming off to the eastern flank, and they're all going to forget about that silent threat of Mraz, who continues to snake his way in. Still outside of the zone, blue zone on his back, but it's not a worry just yet as he spots the members of VN1 in front of him disengaging. He might be able to spot Kui, and he's not going to be able to take the shots.
No, he doesn't want to take the shots.
No.
He wants to stay quiet and play for placement. If he goes out now, he's going out in 12th place, Esquire. He can get more out of this. His hand's going to be forced, so you can see Ram moving. He's not spotted him.
Oh, spray him down.
The blue. No, because you've got to worry about the blue now. He's just tanking it himself. Ran will spot him out eventually. Miraz went for the placement game. It just wasn't meant to be, though.
He tried to fight him. It wasn't enough, though. Blue zone damage in combination with the shots coming out from Kui and Ran. Too much to handle. Ace Esports, though, from that Gatka area, raining down grenades onto the members of Nova, who I believe have tried to encroach on this position. Nova bombed in on the western side of Gatka, but VN1 has to chase. Blue zone on their back, Spacestation Gaming on their front. Angry, trying to spray down with the micro Uzi to find the connections. Able to do so onto Kui. One more member, Ran, going to be going down as well. I believe VN1 has one player left alive to try to save them from this. Lucas and his teammate, rather, a little bit off to the north from this position. So 2-2 split for VN1 keeps their hopes and dreams alive with not going out in 11th place for now, but that circle is about to shrink once again, and there's not a lot of time for VN1 to recover.
And Misfits and Method are the only two people in that circle now. Misfits were able to get control of a central position, and now they can just play outward. Shakes thinks he saw something moving in the wilderness, but he was unable to find the shots and the kills off the back end of that. You see a lot of teams are going to have to run in. Misfits, they're the ones who are going to take the brunt of this aggression coming into the circle.
Method still holding on a little bit north of where Misfits is, the northern side of phase number 6. Well, they need to be careful as well. A lot of teams are going to be trying to find crafty rotations inside of this zone. Method spotted out by Spacestation Gaming, Carnage with the K98. Lining up the information, not so much the shot just yet for Hokage. Now facing off against aggressors on these yellow shacks that have been their safe harbor for the entirety of this game almost. AreYouScared just off the base of the hill, down to the south off of Hashirama and Tobirama's position.
Angry, already going down to his knees. Juicy's going to disable the vehicle, make sure it stays in place. They're all taking spread angles right now in this circle. Someone made it to the center, Sixless. He's one of the ones who dead center right now. It's not the place he wants to be. Here comes version 2 White crashing into the circle. Tsunade might actually see him moving over to the side. Was not going to be taken out, and there comes the fire into him. He's still staying up now. It's going to be Zenith actually from afar. And we'll get that knock, and Juicy coming in down here from the position. Gets the explosion on the vehicle. Shake's being dropped down. Tsukasa feeling the hurt from Ran. Cream fighting with G6 as well. Everyone's popping off as this next circle's been popped, and everyone's trying to get into the new play area.
A mass exodus out of Gatka, and then for Hokage, just trying to maneuver their way around these yellow buildings. AreYouScared has the blue zone now on their back. Mighty and Jay have to make a decision, and there's only really one decision in front of them. It's move forward and try to frag out, try to drop down Hashirama and Tobirama. Tsukasa will be knocked down, so it's at least something to work off of. But Hashirama spots out Jay and takes him out of the game. One knock, one other player to worry about here inside of this compound, but they're not able to find him, and there it is. Tobirama for Hokage continue on with a nice squad wipe on AreYouScared.
All these teams have made it into the top 10 right now. Ace Esports on their knees, being placed there by them. But look at the split. Juicy and Carnage, they're across the way from each other. They're hedging their bets. In the middle of them, Misfits Gaming, looking out in multiple directions to try and deflect the aggression. JBP getting inside some house potentially. There's a spray down from Kodo. He just spotted out when he's transitioning between buildings. That instant death just tells you that's another squad leaving. 7 squads remaining. And it's not looking good for Nova. There's only got a duo. Sam's by himself, and so is Kodo right now, but he's not too far away from each other, so we'll be able to go for it. But Karma sitting in the grass right there. Surely he's going to spot the bullets going over there, but Kodo's not acted on that information at all. Karma's going to be able to stay in this one for a little bit longer.
The second player from a different team that has been unable to detect Cream Esports' solo threat, the solo champion for this squad, as Karma continues to snake his way in. Shots, though, coming out from Method down to the south, connecting onto some of the members of Nova. I mean, if you're on Cream Esports, you're just impressed. You're saying, keep it up, Karma. We're not even going to tell you what to do. Do whatever you think is right here in this situation, because one misstep in the wrong direction could spell disaster for Cream Esports. But they've already made it to 6th place, Trid. They're not looking too shabby, especially when you take into consideration how many points this Cream Esports squad has racked up throughout the day.
Absolutely. It's definitely going to be the day of Cream Esports NA based on how far Karma can get on this one. Now, the team that's in the best position to win this one is ultimately Method. They may not be in the circle, but they're closest transitioning. Pyra going to be able to get that knock and the flush onto Ran. Zenith then gets dropped down by Juicy, who's solo right now. Unable to finish the kill. Juicy actually going back in there for the flush onto Zenith. So that's going to be Misfits put on the back foot. Uneven. I believe Percasas as well looking to stay around there, but they've just been knocked out. Pyra with the flush, and Uneven going down as well. Spacestation Gaming have secured themselves top 4 finish. You've got Karma and Sam as solo players, but it's still Method with the dominant force when it comes down to this one.
Next phase has popped, and no one is inside of the safe zone. Every team is currently riding on the edge, and for good reason. No one's advancing into this wide open area. You need some type of cover. Method has some vehicles to work off of, and this is Steamy pulling in now into the tree. He's able to pop out before taking too much damage from the members of Spacestation Gaming, securing a certain position for his other 3 members to hopefully push up towards.
Good knock.
But Juicy has something else to say about it, spraying up towards the northern side of things with the M416 and finds the connection. Pride is going to be hard to get back, but Everfury is trying to get their Clay.
What are you doing,
Method? Well.
What are you doing, Spacestation Gaming? You're gifting it to him right now. Karma, he's sitting behind. He needs to move forward. He wants to play Assassin, and that's the same as Sam over to his left as well. Not been spotting out each other. You got Method right now. One's already been flushed. One's on their knees. And you got Spacestation Gaming rotating around, trying to flush the rest of them out.
Clay bleeding out in the blue zone. It's going to be at
sad
least
times.
Yeah, sad time, exactly. That's how
right,
I would,
Everfury's found Carbodo. That's big. Cream Esports going to go out in 4th place. But it does mean that Sam, as a solo operator, can still go undetected, because the assumption has to be that there's more Method or more Spacestation Gaming players around.
Certainly. Karma, though, happy. Cream Esports happy with that 4th place finish, a savior of the game. But Everfury is not able to pull back to Pride. He's going to be flushed out of the game, spotted out by the members of Spacestation Gaming. Now just going to be Nova, Spacestation Gaming versus Method. 3 remaining teams in the final game of the day, and it is phase number 8. The circle will be collapsing here.
Carnage's been dropped, but he's not out of this fight right now. This is actually going to be huge for Sam. He can take this one. If the next fight goes down, and he sees the kill feed get populated with another knock, he has to assume that he can go in here and get something from it. He's going to go for the flush instead. Carnage going to be knocked out. It's a 3-way showdown, 1-on-1-on-1. And no one is sure where that 3rd and final Nova player is.
It's anyone's game at this point in time. If you see that an engagement pops up and you're a solo player, like all 3 of these players are, you have to capitalize on it. Everfury going to be spotted out, or possibly just the smoke. Certainly going for the vehicle, trying to maneuver that mobile cover as center as possible. Not able to do so, and he is going to be dropped out of the game. It's a mixture of, you know, damage coming out from Juicy as well as colliding into the tree. And that's all she wrote. Now a proper 1v1, Spacestation Gaming versus Nova. And I know we got a lot of fans from both of these teams in chat, so make sure to spam that team support for your respective squads.
Sam has the cover behind the crate. That's going to be huge right now, and Juicy has absolutely no idea where Sam is.
Well, you got to check that crate.
He's got to maybe go and check the crate. He's got to be assuming he's somewhere around there, surely. But right now, because of that lack of information, it's playing mind games with Juicy. He doesn't know where to look, but Sam knows exactly where he is because he keeps raining bullets into select locations. Sam has all the cards right now.
Exactly. I think Sam is just going to be waiting for Juicy to try to reposition towards that central point. This is phase number 9 coming up, the ultimate collapse here in PUBG Mobile. And well, someone's got to move first, the blue zone. If it touches the feet of Sam, he's going to start chunking down in terms of the damage. And Juicy's just trying to stay at least diligent and watching the different angles that could be presented. Again, there's Defilade inside of this circle that he thinks that Sam could be hiding behind, but he hasn't committed to the possibility that Sam could sure enough be behind this crate. Looking that direction right now.
He's thinking about it now.
He's starting to get the idea.
Yeah, he's just seen the grenade come over. He has to absolutely know where Sam is now. Grenade's coming in over the top onto Juicy. He's got his back towards the blue zone, trading bullets already. No grenade being primed. He's cooking this one up just like he wants that chicken dinner. It bounced off the top of it. He started tanking blue as well. What a throw from Sam. He did great to get in there to the final moment when it came down to it. It's a bit of a sweaty palm situation there, and the grenade just slips out.
Absolutely, but a huge first place chicken dinner to end out the first day of the final week of the North American semifinals here for the PUBG Mobile Club Open. Spacestation Gaming blasting off into the atmosphere with that win. That's got to feel good, riding high after the final match of the day, Trid.
They were already up there in the standings, so they're able to get a win off this one, a couple of kills to their backs. They've got 10 kills on that round as well, so that's a nice 40-point game for them. You can't complain about that.
No,
so they're going to be able to climb up the rankings a little bit further, keep themselves in a good position. Nice of Nova to get into the top 3 as well. Method, they really needed that 3rd place finish. They was a team that was struggling a bit on the standings, so all in all, it's going to be balancing out things a little bit further. So have a look. Let's see. So what are your highlights for the day? Let's go for a quick recap of it, because we've had Cream Esports show up on the map to be able to get 2 different map wins themselves. We're having a look at a package here for the end of the day as well. This is Nova, of course, to remind you what happened on Miramar, where the sneaky beaky was happening a little bit, trying to get away with some kind of the carnage.
But in terms of what you were talking about, Trid, some of the big takeaways here from today, because I think there are several, is that some of our underdogs here in this lobby of 24 teams in total, only 16 of course playing tonight, but Cream Esports coming up huge. Back-to-back wins and then consistently placing in those top maybe 6 positions. It's exactly what they need to do, and we, doing the quick math in our heads, we didn't even expect Cream to propel themselves into the top 8. We expected them to lie somewhere between 9th and 16, you know, pretty solidly, but boy did they impress, not just us, but the viewers at home today. So kudos to Cream Esports. I don't think we can give them enough commendations on today.
Hopefully we'll be able to pull up the standings shortly and let you know how that final outcome will be. But we're just looking through some of the highlights of today, of course. And yeah, I really like what Nova did here. You can just see the free trails of bullets there, just given away, just crossfire, it's synchronized. It's going to be beautiful.
You know how you get out of that situation if you're unnamed?
Cook a grenade.
No, you just don't. You don't get out of that situation. Yeah. It's essentially it's a no-win situation for that player. But again, Sin, that was a huge effort from him, at least in that 1v4 engagement against G6. And, you know, it was an interesting day, Trid. I think there were a lot of good highlights from today, not necessarily, I mean, even in addition to the highlights that we caught here. And if you guys at home are interested in catching the VODs or looking back on some of today's action or previous weeks and previous days' action, make sure to head on over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com and check it out. Scoreboards, standings, rule sets, whatever you want.
Not looking good for a couple of teams there. If you've got 12 games in and you're still in the bottom 8, it's not looking too good for your hopes. You only got 4 more games to get yourself into safety. And bear in mind, you got teams like Shoot to Win, Ignite, Lations Unidos. These guys still on 8 matches played right now. They're going to be able to chase you up a little bit further. Method, they're on the cusp of dropping into that bottom 8 right now. They are in 14th place, but it's Team Anarchy and Silent Killers that are occupying the territory, creating a buffer between that exit point for them.
Tempo Storm, they haven't really moved a lot, but at least the significant thing to take away from this team's performance today is that they haven't climbed pretty much whatsoever. They pretty much stayed stagnant in that 145-point range. Meanwhile, though, the top 8 teams continue to pump those numbers. It's extremely top-heavy, and when you look towards Spacestation Gaming, Misfits, and Nova, all 3 teams that played here today, Cream Esports, that 6th place finish from them in this final game of the day, was enough to continue to propel them up 4th place rather, when they were previously sitting in 6th and 5th. That's insane, Trid.
It's really actually quite telling when you look at it. The position that Wildcard Gaming are in right now, they have 8 maps played, but they're still in 5th place.
Yeah.
They only need 71 points tomorrow to be able to catch up to, I believe, who's Space Station Gaming are in 1st right now. Is Space Station Gaming, I'm trying to recall off the top of my head whether they will be playing tomorrow as well. They are, Space Station are in Group B, I believe.
Sure.
So they will not be playing tomorrow. It's A versus C, I
Correct,
believe?
yeah.
So that means that we're going to end up with a situation where, you know, Space Station Gaming are going to sit there and they could be lapped over by Wildcard Gaming to take that 1st place spot.
Yeah, but again, all you have to be is in the top 16 teams at the conclusion of Sunday's games coming up here in 2 days. But thank you guys, everyone, for tuning in here tonight. Again, 2 more days to play out for the semifinals. It's been Esquire, myself, and Trid here on the casting desk. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m. Pacific time, for all the PUBG Mobile action that you can handle.